Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say it's the CEA Grand Finals, baby. BiggHungryPhill and ManofClass at you for the culmination of a long few months of gameplay. Amazon Fire Force and Office 365 no scope here to duke it out for that #1 position. ManofClass, what have we got to look forward to today?
A grand finals. Obviously, we're doing a first of 4 or best of 7, whatever you prefer. It's all gonna come at you. So we're playing at least 4 maps, potentially even more, when the games are this close. And if my eyes do not deceive me, we've got 2 giants against each other. They've been battling it out all season. We're in the finals now. We had the 3rd, 4th place last week. It also came out, and today they're battling for that grand first prize of $3,700 going to your charity. Second place, of course, still gets a nice sum, but it's not quite the same as giving that extra injection of cash into your favorite charity as a team. I'm looking forward to this game, particularly because we've got the Amazon Fire Force versus Microsoft Office 365 no scope XX. It's a long name. It's a great name.
Trips off the tongue.
It really does. It's like they did it specifically to do it. I mean, we still remember the XXs from back in the day, right? Like that was the whole thing. It's like, oh, I'm an edgy, cool gamer kid. I have to get the XX in front, XX in the back, and I just.
Can I tell you the sad thing, Classy? Is I'm a console player, and we still got those guys. They're still running riot over on the console community. So yeah, not so much a distant memory for me.
True, but it's also a bit unfair because I think console you can just keep making accounts and new names, so you don't on PC you have to pay to change your name.
It is,
on PC we have to pay to change your name.
But the number of times I run into GM players who are fed up of sweating at GM that just want to come down to my level and stomp people is we are off topic.
Yeah.
We are wildly
off topic. We're gonna go into
this
finals, and I know the thing is, I know we're both in sunny. We're not really in the sunny interior right now. We're both in the snow, in the cold. We want to have some gameplay to heat us up.
Yeah.
But I also think it will help if we go to this map of Ilios first, because Ilios, of course, nice and sunny in Greece, lovely white buildings. It should probably warm our hearts a little bit just looking at that map. But we're definitely looking for the Fire Force and Office 365 to warm up our bodies with the gameplay.
I do feel like there was an argument to be made here that we should have for this map pool just enforced only maps with a Christmas variant. I realize that limits us, but frankly, it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make here. But yeah, as you were rightly saying, starting out on sunny Ilios, and this time looks like we've got Lighthouse locked in to start off this time. So whilst some environmental kill potential here, it's typically not how the map is played unless you find yourself with a Wrecking Ball specialist, at which point, well, all bets are off.
Yeah, and to be fair, Wrecking Ball has been pretty good lately. I mean, we see him pop up almost everywhere when we look at the tier 2 and above scene, but it doesn't mean that these teams will necessarily run it. Of course, we aren't running the Gauntlet Finals that are going on right now. Yeah. We're running the CEA Grand Finals. That's what you love to see. And it looks like neither of these teams so far in spawn are going to go for that Wrecking Ball. Last week, we actually saw a very impressive, I think, triple or quadruple environmental kill coming out of a Winston Primal Rage. That was not NJP that currently is picking it up. That was actually, I'm pretty sure, no, that wasn't either of these teams. That was their opponent. Sorry. Teams, I was definitely almost blanking on that one. But yeah, got to be careful for that NJP Winston in that case if you are MS365.
Two slightly different approaches coming out here, and Microsoft 365 no scope. In fact, actually, both teams opting into the Sombra here to start things off. Both aggressing on to the point already, and the Brawl coming out here for our players in the blue are going to be looking to get up close and personal and start that out. Smith finds the heck, and the kill is down. Hantho taken out of the fight already. Big advantage, a lot of sustain taken out of the fight with that Brigitte down. But we're going to see their opponents back out here and wait to go again in the next fight.
You're going to have to reset for this one. Nice early engage. Of course, they had a bit of speed advantage as well as mobility advantage. And when they're finally on that point, V for Taeyong just does so much damage with that Reaper. You cannot really get away from them because you have to contest the objective. And the poke from outside that they kind of need to go for at this stage wasn't really coming out. They went for that straight engage. And if Microsoft wants to do anything really, they need to go for that playstyle. They cannot just walk in there. They will get blown up.
Oh, here's what's happening though. Kainami is just waiting to get this EMP online. Already 84% of the way there, but by having this slow start to the engage, they've lost Hanto again. Very early into the fight. There goes the DMake onto Senior Cheese. Sticks are coming through from Big Easy, won't find its target, but by taking the slow engage, Microsoft have given up a lot of point progress here. It's going to be well above 50% by the time the next push comes in.
There was a very heads-up play coming out from Amazon Fire Force, though. What they did is, yes, they stand on point. They know that they're the team that can control the space a little bit better, but they didn't wait for Microsoft to start poking. They didn't wait for that. They just engaged, and now you get the EMP finally out. Hits a lot, but will it get the value?
Ooh, see the Bucks come in over the top as well. Will only catch one in that, and it wasn't enough to demech Z-Force. It's going to be after that the demech comes through and even has the self-destruct ready to go, but not going to be given a chance to go into it. Kanami goes for the hack onto Viva Taehyung in the middle of the ult, but won't connect, and even with a kill on the board here for Microsoft 365 no-scope, they've not been able to do enough to get this going. Jape has been taken out of the fight, as has Hypno Beast. There is a tank deficit now for both teams. Big Easy with the Force Bomb's going to take Smegs out here as well. And Microsoft 365 no-scope finally in chance at flipping the point as we approach 99-0.
99-0, and the point will finally flip, but that's a big lead that they're going to have for Amazon right now. Did expend all their ultimates to stall out that to 99%, so they will have to build that up, but they do have the time to do so. At least about 2 minutes, and they're already coming up close-ish to the Death Blossom, but it's going to take at least a fight or two, most likely.
I mean, I feel like the thing we've got to be watching here is the EMPs, because Kainami, even when they're in losing fights, has been out-charging the Smegs just by going for cheeky little hacks in and finding the amplified damage onto their target on the back end of it. But we've lost Hypno Beam. Now, EMP comes out. It's a big one. There's all 6 of Amazon Fire Force caught in it. Big Easy with one. Senior Cheese with the double. It's explosions for days here on the Lighthouse, and a one-team fight for Microsoft 365 no-scope. But an expensive team fight for them.
Super expensive. And to be fair, if they have been ult tracking correctly, then they know that Amazon didn't really have much to work with, and they might now have some, but it's still not a huge ultimately. We're still looking at a fairly even fight, especially if you have that sustain from Hanto coming out. That's what should be able to carry Microsoft through this fight.
We'll have the rally on board now for Hanto. Makes it a little bit easy for them to push in, but Big Easy playing on the flank away from that didn't get that survivability and is now out of the fight. It's the 5v6 already as Viva Taehyung looks to take the high ground and pressure out the tanks, and no kinetic grasp, no shielding. Viva Taehyung able to get in and do a whole world of hurting there. Z-Force on the point with the self-destruct. Death Blossom into the back, and Viva Taehyung as well. Forced to a bit of damage from both of our low HP targets there. And Jake looking to find the run through onto the Sombra. Sombra TP's out, and now we're looking very close to the flip here for Amazon Fire Force. It's our Office 365 no scope, not with much chance to come back and keep this going. There's the hack onto the Wrecking Ball, might get the tag back in here, but it's looking like it's done and dusted here on round 1 of Ilios.
One pick can change everything, and Chickenality does go down. They get Hanto on the other side. EMP with a Primal Rage. Really a strong combination in terms of CC.
Oh, no.
And that's not going to save you, Senior Cheese. They do get a Pulse Bomb kill on the impact, though. This is not quite over, but it's getting closer and closer.
No, definitely called that way too soon here. Beautiful job here of tagging onto the point to keep it going, but overtime had been going so long there that a frame off of the point took the overtime ticker down to 0, and that puts Amazon Fire Force at 1-0 on Ilios.
The EMP really made all the difference there. If Kainami did not have that EMP ready, sorry, if Smex didn't have that EMP ready, would have meant that Senior Cheese can get their ultimate off. The rolling around the Wrecking Ball is going to be more impactful. That Primal Rage maybe doesn't get as much value. There's just so many factors that EMP just completely destroyed. It was good from Smex to hold on to that. We got to see what's going to change here for either team onto the well. It doesn't look like Amazon, at least, is going to change anything. The Fire Force coming at you in the same formation, but we will see Kainami on the Echo, Senior Cheese on the Roadhog, and that is some big burst change there, especially in terms of environmental kills.
Yeah, huge damage potential, huge fight swing potential, particularly from Cena Cheese if he's playing around that central hole. For now, takes the high ground position, sends in the hook and won't find anything just yet, but by staging here under the protected area, the square at the back of the point, it means that Microsoft aren't in a position to get environmental kills and struggling even to find damage in onto anybody whilst we wait for the point to unlock. Amazon Fire Force are now going to take initial positioning on the point and look to start building it up. It's a quick flip, and now they can afford to just hold out the choke here. Amazon Fire Force, you can taste the game plan they had here.
It's all fast, it's all furious, and the kills are paying off, but there is a trade going on right here, and the more numbers they lose, the less sustainable this Fire Force team is going to be.
Getting ults committed here, but Kainami's able to find one there with a finishing beam, and Zifos sent down into the pit here. Looking good now for a flip from Microsoft. A couple more kills to secure that. Smex gets the manual hack once more, and at this point knows they can keep the point alive for a little while longer here, but it's unlikely to be enough to flip it completely. At the very least, they will come out of this with a little more ult charge ready to go. But Amazon are still keeping this contested, but now it feels to me like they're just feeding over ult charge.
Yeah, they're getting objective charge. It's definitely happening, but it's just not going to be enough. Nice stun from Hunto to stop that stall out from Zifos as well. And honestly, it's a good reaction. So the way that they've changed up their composition is very more reactive instead of making plays. They've recognized that Fire Force is really good at just running at them and doing something, splitting them up. And this lineup is far less susceptible to that. They're way more ready in terms of reaction to burst back and stop that dive.
Well, lots of ults available now from Microsoft, and we see things leading off here as Kanami picks up the duplicate onto the Reaper. But it's V for Taehyung with Reaper of their own that's trying to chunk through somebody and take Senior Cheese out of the fight. But Kanami gets the Death Blossom on the line, and V for Taehyung not in a position to do anything about it here. Kills still more or less favoring Microsoft for now as the D-Mech comes through onto Zifos. NJ gonna go down, and Kainami with a triple, a real threat here on the Echo.
The power of the Echo is very tangible in this game right now.
Oh,
does get taken up by V for Taehyung here. Exhausted. Yeah, but just overextended a little bit without the mobility cooldown being back online. So yeah, Reaper gets on top of you. You just get blown up. That's kind of how that goes. And now the EMP initiation.
Gonna hit forward, but it happened a little way forward of the offensive line of Amazon Fire Force, so they're struggling to find a lot to do with that one. And crucially, it hasn't been able to take SPS Baker out of the fight, means that the sound barrier was online to counter that. But Zefos and Smex able to find a couple of picks here for Amazon. They have actually got the flip. They are now back in control of the point, and they're winning out the fight. It was a chaotic one, and it cost them a bit of resource, but they have at least stabilized.
If there was any fight that we're going to win, it was going to be the EMP fight. Smex already charging up to halfway next to the next EMP has really been impactful in this game so far. Sombra can be a super cool hero, but it's always about how fast you charge EMP, how to utilize and follow up on EMP. So far, it has been working out, but if we can see Microsoft shutting that down more, it might become a very, very hard pick to make work.
Oh, Kainami's already down though, and with a large portion of your damage taken offline, and with the Coalescence forcing the team forward, forcing the opponents back, that's going to be Amazon Fire Force with a hold here. Down at the final few seconds of the fight here, 95% on the board for Amazon Fire Force, and a staggered final fight here. Not much chance to get the recontest, zero chance to get the recontest. Fire Force large and in charge with 1 point on the board.
Fire Force so far, decisive, fast, and explosive. It's exactly what you want from a team in the current meta of the game. Anto does get that play of the game, which is likely going to be one of those environmental kills that they've been getting. It's the smacking someone back into the well. That will probably be Zifos. There we go. Yeah, I mean, they actually had a cooler play earlier on where they stunned Zifos when they were mid-flight into the well with the shield bash. That looked way cooler. It was later on. But I guess the extra damage in this play was calculated higher, more effectively from the terms of Overwatch. Now, we'll see, of course, the next maps come out, but what is very apparent already is that the decisiveness and initiation power that Fire Force have so far been displaying has been outweighing the more reactive, the more soaking damage and poking from a range and doing that quick burst when you try and get in from Office365 isn't really working out as well. Like the value from Amazon so far in terms of composition, what they want to do with it, their win conditions are being met a lot more.
And I feel like one of the reasons for this is the composition that Fire Force is running, which is more or less, in fact, I think exactly the Hour Zero composition, this weird hybrid dive brawl with the Sombra Reaper that had them have such good success in one of the more recent seasons of Contenders Trials. It requires you to be talking the entire time. It requires you to know what you intend to do with each specific play, with each cooldown. You can't just barrel in and hope for the best. You've got to know who your targets are, what your pathing is. And so, whilst playing a reactive style is great to help try and counter that, it means that because you are reactive, you are not dictating the pace of the fight. And really, for Microsoft to really stick it to Amazon here, they're going to have to start taking control of the game themselves.
Yeah, they really do. And when we go into further maps, of course, that chaos that Control can sometimes give you might have been working out very much in the favor of Fire Force because of all those small micro plays. Like on Control, that just gets amplified a lot more. We go to map types like Assault, Hybrid, even Escort to a degree. There might be more of a chance to actually set up defenses properly, to set up attacks properly for Office 365 that requires slightly less adaptability in the chaos of things. So we'll see if that actually changes everything in terms of dynamic between these two teams, whether Office 365 can take the next map or one of the next maps and make this a competitive series. But so far, Fire Force do seem to be in control. They do just seem to be one step ahead of what Office 365 is doing, and yeah, I mean that could lead to a short series, relatively speaking. But it's Overwatch. Anything can happen, really, especially if you get your map choice.
Yeah, we could be going all the way to map 7. Who knows? The mythical map 8 belong that with some of the map types with the capacity for a draw here. Now, this is a loser pick format if you've not been following the series and the format that we run here. So this time it's going to be down to Office 365 to dictate where we're going and what we're going to be doing there, which is exactly the opening they need. They need to be picking a map type where Fire Force can't run this hybrid brawl style and where Office 365 have free reign to run whatever they think they're most comfortable on. And let's be fair here, like Office 365, they weren't steamrollers there. They were just outmaneuvered in certain circumstances, but on an individual level,
Sure.
and I'm thinking very particularly here of Kainami. Kainami was a dynamic force on the field. They clearly have the talent on the team to take it to Fire Force. I don't expect them to get completely rolled here. I expect this to be incredibly well thought, but we need to move away from what's happening on the field to see what Office 365 are going to be doing before we even get there to dictate whether they're going to get the chance to.
Yeah, of course, of course. And we're going to go to Kings Row next. And it does seem there's a little bit of a debate going on, Phil. Do they want to deal with your blizzard situation where there's too much snow in Kings Row and it's becoming all wintry? Or do we just go to regular Kings Row? Make sure that they don't have to trip over anything. They're not icy. They don't have to deal with all those gifts in the way. Santa Sleigh will just stay put. We'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be a regular, no, I would say no shenanigans, but honestly, it's just no.
It's Overwatch. It's made of shenanigans.
There's no room for winter spirit when you talk about competitive gameplay, Phil. I think that's the crux of the situation. And of course, we don't mind that. Kings Row is still Kings Row. He's still played in the same way. But I do understand that if you've been scrimming on the regular version all year long, might not want to change even the tiniest little bit, because that muscle memory, that brain recognition of where something is at any point in time can really be messed up if there's all of a sudden these white patches in the way or the payload looks different or anything like that.
So I think really the actual reason why we can't go to the snowy version here is that this is going to be such a spicy game, a game with so much heat in it that any snow on the ground will just melt. And so you've got the option of going through the standard King's Row or a King's Row that is just ankle deep in water, like typical London is most of the time.
Yeah, I think the drainage situation has probably improved a little bit in the future, but can't be sure. Can't be sure. I mean, look, with
we
the
still
giant
got those Victorian sewers down there. I'm sure of it.
Well, true. But with that big Omnic, restitute, that entire neighborhood area which you end the payload in, you would think there's a lot more room for water to be drained to. If they want to get rid of it anyways with an EMP, why not put all the drainage there as well?
Can we just for a minute talk about how messed up that is? Like, you can be Reinhardt, Tracer, Mercy, Soldier, Anna, like all of these good, noble heroes that want to do their best for society, and they're just going to push a EMP into a the homes of a marginalized people? Like, I got some questions for Overwatch here because not sure where the morals are standing right now.
Well, I think a lot of that, Phil, will be answered when we get the next Tracer comics, because obviously they've been pretty good. I think that's where we find the answers of why actually the EMP gets put in there. The Omnics are now doing the Uprising. Tracer's being kind of ousted from the Omnic community because they used to like her, but now they don't.
Spoilers.
That being said,
spoilers.
We're going to be seeing Amazon Fire Force start here on the defense. Of course, still versus Microsoft Office 365 no scope. And King's Row, I mean, it's the map we all know and love, but it's going to be double barrier on the defense. And Jape on the Orisa, Xiphos on the Sigma, Smex and D for Taeyong on Soldier Torbjorn, and then Pendologic and Impact on the Baptiste with the giant window, and the Zenyatta with a 30% Discord Orb.
Well, we do at least have a reasonable amount of shield break here in terms of Flammable Jello and Big Easy. Is willing to use a TP to take this quick high ground rotation, and Smex is caught out of position. It's a 5v6, and Big Easy has gone back to spawn to make the classic Widowmaker swap here. But for now, Microsoft are staging up on the high ground, giving time for Big Easy to get into position to start to find off angles here. Pressured out, has to relocate, now has a line onto the opposing Torbjorn finds the potato and pushes them out, but now Microsoft have to worry about two different lines of offense here, and we are one spam frag away here on Microsoft 365 to be able to get this going. That's the Mega down, and that's Senior Cheese down. And with Amazon Fire Force now back up to full strength and finding a few more frags, that looks like this offensive push was a little bit too slow and steady, Classy.
I don't know about that Widowmaker pick. You see Big Easy switching over to the Ashe now, but that Widowmaker, what's she gonna hit? There's two barriers in your way, you're alone on the flank, you'll never be able to get away from anyone attacking you. And it didn't really get much value, so Big Easy now being on the Ashe, much more of a logical pick for me. And they do get this off-angle approach now. Senior Cheese, though, under a lot of damage, but P for Taeyong gets it back, and the kills are flowing.
Man, this has been a right old turnaround right here. I felt certain as the hack came through that Senior Cheese was out of the fight entirely. Instead, able to survive that, find the kill, and the fight flips. Flammable Jello gets one with a Riptire, and that is a dynamic cap here on the back of a couple of swaps from Microsoft.
Very dynamic, very well executed. I mean, the fact that they got to that high ground and just booted the double shield off of there is, of course, already the biggest win. And now they can keep continuing, although that window will probably slow them down a considerable bit.
A little bit. Well, fight's still going on. Hypno Beam has pushed up quite the way here. Gets caught in the flux. There's no chance he's surviving that one. And Xiphos with the 3K. Looking to get the hold now at the choke. If you're not going to hold A, next best place on the map to hold just past A of that choke. This is great for Amazon.
Especially with that double barrier. Who's ever going to be able to break those in time? You would say Flammable Jello, but they're now on the May.
Okay.
To be fair, if Amazon makes an aggressive move and tries to initiate and there's a wall in the way, they could get a good split off. So maybe that happens, but it's EMP time for now.
Ooh, one down already, and the hack comes through, preventing SBS Baker getting the res. Well played here from Microsoft 365 no scope. Trances out from Impact, but is that going to be enough to help them survive through this one? Panda Logic's down, Xiphos is down, and no longer able to hold out the choke here. The one benefit they've got here is that Smex did hold onto that EMP.
They used everything else, though, and they didn't have to. I think a lot of what went down is their Hypno being used is that Gravitic Flux, and they kind of panic. I wouldn't say they didn't actually do panic, but they definitely reactively use a lot of ultimates that get very little value. So if you are Amazon Fire Force now, you had a great position, you had a lot of ultimates, you had them in a choke, and now they've given all of that advantage up with just for an EMP.
Oh, there's the EMP. He's going to hit 3. Hypno Beam is able to get around the corner and hide behind the door. Ready to back out again. Need to see a couple of kills coming through on the back of the EMP, but so far it's only Smex that falls here. We'll see Panda Logic back into the line of fire. A Big Easy gets taken out, but the trades start to come through here. At the minute, SBS Baker hasn't been punished. We might see the res come through and allow them to stabilize. Xiphos is finally going to find them, and Hypno Beam gets the rock, and Xiphos is down. No hold available here for Fire Force.
We saw a glimpse of Hypno Beam's plays throughout that fight. They've been so good. I mean, he's used the Gravitic Flux in the last fight, and already almost got a new one. That just shows you how much damage they're outputting, how much value they're getting, and the fact that they're able to use their cooldowns as Sigma correctly also means there's a lot more survivability for the rest of their team. So yeah, Sigma really working out well for Microsoft right now.
A lot of options available here for Microsoft to keep this push going. It's going to be down to Flammable to keep an eye on what is happening with that defense matrix. Clearly saw it go off. Hypno Beam finds one with the Gravitic Plugs, lands a few down in the freezer, and it's now Z-Force with the D-Mech. Panda Logic's going to commit the Coalescence here, but a little bit too late, he thinks. Not going to find too much with that, and I don't know if that was a reset or just a backing into the hole accidentally.
It doesn't really matter either way. The outcome is the same, but there will be only 3, maybe 4 ultimates aligned next fight for the defense. Amazon Fire Force and tank ultimates are coming, as well as that sound barrier. But there's just so much value coming out of this. Look at that. You want to initiate, and there's just a hog in the way.
Wow, that was unfortunate for Taehyung. Gets out of the frying pan and into the freezer. Flammable slows them down. A Hypno Beam gets the hook to kill them. There's the self-destruct, and Senior Cheese becomes Senior Ping Pong Ball. Boops all over the shop. Misses the hook, and Z-Force is already demeched. Impact with the sound barrier buys some more security for the team as they start to move their way forward. They're looking to stabilize here, and from the high ground is going to be V for Taehyung, but into a defense matrix and a kinetic grasp. Not a lot happening with that one. Now comes the punch back. Hypno Beam with the Gravitic Flux does that nice and safe. No chance of getting into it. EMP one more time, but it may well be at the last end of the fight, and it didn't catch Hantho. He keeps everybody alive through that one. Allows Hypno Beam to come in and find the pick on V for Taehyung. Another Blizzard online, and this time Z-Force manages the eat, but can't protect themselves as they do get demeched here as well. And regardless of whether the Blizzard was on the points or not, the kills are still here from Microsoft. It's going to be down to stall picks here for Amazon to burn some time off the clock. Flammable gets up close and personal, jams the wall in front of them, and stops the recon test coming through.
Such a good attack coming out from Microsoft 365 no-scope. And a lot of that is just down to the compositional changes they've been making. The tanks, still the same. They're working as intended. The supports, largely unchanged. A real big change has come through in their DPS departments. Sure, we saw Flammable Jello already, work around with those type of picks already. The May, maybe the Reaper, maybe Junkrat here and there. But it's really Big Easy that it's been coming through on this Ashe. They were on the Tracer earlier on, and the problem with the Tracer was that there wasn't usually a backline to really harass for the Tracer. So if she also has to play reactively, she uses a lot of that power that makes Tracer great. She can dance around the enemy, she can get that burst out, and with this Ashe now fighting from a reasonable range, creating like a second layer that you have to get through. You have to get through the first layer to get to the second layer. Big Easy is just firing from range, doing a lot of damage from a safe distance, and providing that extra deterrence in the coach gun, in the dynamite, just in every single way. And I think it's been a very smart adaptation. They're not choosing to go for it on the defense, which is, I wouldn't say necessarily questionable, but it's curious to see. We'll see what that works out for them. But that really helped them out a lot on that attack.
It really did. I think a lot of very flexible plays here on the Microsoft roster, and that's going to be what they need to, as we were saying before, start to dictate their terms in this fight. Amazon Fire Force had to adapt, had to fall back into this comp that they're running now to even do anything against what Microsoft were running. Rotation through the hotel here. Smacks on the Sombra, I believe, gets decloaked here, but not going to be too big a problem. Anti comes through from the high ground, but they're going to wait that out hook comes through. Z-Force will take a bit of damage there, and the D-Mech comes through. I think the sleep might have played a part on that one as well. Trades coming through. It's 2 for 2 so far. NJ can be for Taehyung down on the offense. A little bit of point presence now for Amazon, but I think this is over and done for the push.
There were a few trades going. If they can reset quickly, they might have an advantage in terms of spawns. But the fight went on for too long that those trades will really matter. So it will be a full 66v6. And you can already see who's been doing the most in these fights. It's been Senior Cheese and Big Easy, actually, on that Tracer, which is surprising because I wasn't really too sold on the idea. But apparently it's working. Big Easy can take this flank. You can already see it already behind them. Relocate whenever they want to.
Takes a bit of a dink. They're down to around half health and needs to be careful because if they run into Smex, they're likely to get hacked, and 9 times out of 10 a hacked Tracer is a dead Tracer, not much HP to work with. Microsoft 365 continuing to stage on the high ground, and Z-Force just dragged through a heads backwards there and demeked. No chance for the remake, but Big Easy is going to go down. Smeck's able to find a second. Z-Force still in pilot form, but Viva Taekyung finds Senior Cheese's belly button, jams the shotguns in, pulls the trigger, and that is them down and out. We're looking at a very similar cap time here for Amazon on their push.
Even though that hook on Z-Force is great, even though you get the elimination on that D.Va, it did bunch up Microsoft all in that same place, which meant that Amazon could choose their position, you could force them up that high ground and engage on the objective. Now, Senior Cheese will go down here again, being hacked, cannot take the breather, and that just gives them more space to work with. It gives them a nice, beefy pace on that Streets phase, unless, of course, Big Easy just keeps stalling the payload like they want to do.
Just slow it down 10-20%, you know, burn the time bank off. There's a reasonable chance they'll complete regardless of what we do. Let's just take some time off them.
Well, why not? I mean, the clock's there for a reason. The more time you have, the better. They do need to make up a little bit of time eventually, because that third point especially went very fast for Microsoft. And that's usually the one that takes longer. Postbomb doesn't get anything, but the EMP might.
EMP's gonna find two SBS Baker and Senior Cheese, both being focused down now. Hypno Beam's able to get that gravitic flux off, but as everyone else died so quickly, there was nothing out of that one. It's a big explosion of ultimates from Amazon Fire Force, and at one of the best possible positions on the map. They can take a huge amount of space here.
Senior Cheese goes over to the Zarya. Now, that is a... Oh, the D.Va, actually. Well, they're changing it again. That is still a very interesting development, because that essentially means that a lot of the damage, a lot of the value that they're getting out of the composition on the other side, they think can be stopped by D.Va. And to a degree, I think they're not wrong.
Well, 2 kills already on the table here for Amazon Fire Force. Microsoft 365 No Scope can start to burn some time off here. That's gonna be the Death Blossom. A 3K and a DMAC looking for the shot onto the pilot form of the D.Va, and we are done and dusted. Now Big Easy is over onto the Widowmaker. We saw a massive performance on this hero the last time he was on stream.
Yeah,
well, not gonna happen here though.
He definitely did, but again, I do really like that Ashe pick. Widowmaker has become such a squishy hero, and even if you're next to your spawn, you want to take those high grounds, you want to be a bit more beefy, you want the ultimates to matter, and the ultimates of Stifos is the one that's going to matter right now.
SBS Baker is down, and he was only a few percent points away from having the ultimate online, but they trade out Smex here. Impact's going to be holding on to a sound barrier of their own, so it might buy them enough time for Smex to get back in, but they have no other ults to play with. They've got to do this and just try and drag out resources. Instead, they're going to invest resources, which are not enough to keep NJ alive here. Viva Taekyung chugging away at the shield, can't find the damage to start to build the ults, and that's where the hold starts to come in. It's very hard to retake this cart once it's that far down. They're gonna have to take this slow and steady.
I love that play though. I mean, this post was good, but I love that play with the Blizzard and the self-destruct, because both ultimates are relatively easy to dodge for this composition of Amazon. But if you combine the two, so you force them to dodge one, and then you throw the other ultimate in a location where they're dodging two, then you're likely to get that value, and they did. But now they're gonna have to engage with an EMP.
Ooh. That's a big old EMP, and crucially, it did find SBS Baker, but they need a little more target focus. They need to take SBS Baker down. Otherwise, he's gonna do that. He's gonna give that additional 2,000 HP decaying shield onto the rest of his team, which buys them to time to punch back and start to get the kills. And Amazon Fire Force are back to having nothing in the bank.
Yeah, they are definitely, and 2 minutes 40 on the clock. They're likely to complete the map with less time in the bank already, but still, they have a chance to complete it with enough time left to get another attempt, so no harm done just yet. It will probably take them 1 or 2 more fights because they have no resources though.
Well, we've got the Shatter and the Self-Destruct here. Big Easy gets the bomb eaten here. Doesn't matter though, Impact's still going to go down. This time just a Hantho and Hypno Beam swing it away with the melee weapons. The D-Make onto Z-Force, and we got to get the quick reset here from Amazon Fire Force.
Amazon Fire Force, they were on such a good roll, such a good pace in terms of attack, but they've been completely halted now. Nice recuperation from the other side, though, it has to be said. They were looking really down and out, and they have been especially reacting very well to these EMPs from Smex. They were really getting downed by that Sombra a lot of the time, not just by the EMP, but also by the Hex. And it actually turns out that Smex agrees so much that the counter's been so good that they want to go for the consistent input burst damage of the McCree.
Big old Blizzard. Of course, they haven't spotted that Big Easy has moved over to the Widowmaker here, so Smek's going to be even harder pressed to make anything work here on the McCree. Kill comes through onto Ziphos. Big Easy starts to move forward, and they are dragging out this fight as the war comes up, and NJ goes down, and they are still pressing their advantage.
Look, whatever happens, I'm already happy that we're going to be seeing Rein Zarya and just another Reinhardt as well on this King's Row map. We do say it. It's not King's Row until you've seen Reinhardt, and it's happened. He's here. He's on the field. We can call it official King's Row map. And look at these ultimates as well. Hypno Beam with the first shatter already online.
Oh, self-destruct. We're going to see nobody caught by that one, but PandaLogic and Ziphos both caught in the shatter and both taken out. Impact throws in the sound barrier, but to keep 3 other players alive, yes, it lets NJ find 1 pick, but you needed way more than that, and now there is going to be no sound barrier for the rest of this map.
Big, beefy, bulky Reinhardt. It's truly the name of the game right now. More health, more damage, more everything, really, and even got the best winter skin, according to a lot of people. So truly happy to be a Reinhardt main right now, and they're pulling it out. The Shatter didn't get much, but Hypno Beam's already got another one, so who cares?
Yeah, nice position there from Ziphos. Went for the long dive. 4 on the back of that Shatter, and Smek's already with the high noon. Throws it in, finds the D-Mic, but that's all they get. Jello one more time with that Blizzard online, but can't find the kills. If there's going to be a cap, it's going to be an overtime cap. This means that there is no second chance for Amazon Fire Force now. And of course, Microsoft may still punch back here. Ziphos is already out of the fight, and the shadow comes through from Hypno Beam, but it won't stop the complete. But now, Microsoft 365 get another round. Amazon do not. 1/3 of the tick is all it will take to tie us up in the series.
Brilliant play from Amazon there to actually get that in the first place. Smex throws the flashbang over the shield from Hypno Beam, then the shatter comes out. It's another testament to how good their micro communication is on the side of Fire Force. We said it before on Ilios, where that composition that they were running really requires a lot of that combination communication, and they're just showing it here again with one of those micro plays. It's one that we know since day 1 of the game, but it's still nice to see that teams can pull it off in these situations, because without that flashbang, I'm pretty sure the Hypno Beam might have blocked and maybe even counter-shuttered that one.
Yeah, quite possibly. I guess we'll never know, short of going back and rerunning the simulation a few times. And having already run this simulation once, Amazon Fire Force weren't happy with the outcome, and they want to run it again with a little bit of a mix-up in the variables. This time, Viva taking coming in on the Echo rather than the Tourbillon. A little more burst damage, a little more kill potential.
We'll see what the difference in that value is from there. I do still like the Junkrat Mercy combination, but it's really up to Big Easy to keep having that same stable performance on their pick, whether it's going to be the Hanzo, the Ashe, the Widowmaker, the Tracer. You know, anything needs to come out, and they need to deal with that air threat, because they're really the only one that can properly.
Okay, Big Easy starting off on the Ashe here this time. Certainly one way to get around the shields. That's a big hook. Ziphos gets the rock as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but of course SBS Baker has the Mercy, will get that res online. Smex is able to find hand throw there. Playing this angle over here, giving them a couple of things to think about, means that they may hold off here, but Senior Cheese gets on the flank. Viva Taeyong does a lot of damage into them, but they will ultimately escape and feed over healing charge to their supports.
And it's really getting tough as well, because they lost their main healer. PandaLogic out of there. No Baptiste means only a Zenyatta for heals, and that's not a lot of healing going around. Big Easy will lose that duel to Smex eventually, but this is going to be an attack for days. Oh, they could have done something out of that, but now they're truly slowed down, Phil.
Explosives, definitely the name of the game here between the Stickies and the Helix, finding a quick 1-2 punch here, and it means that PandaLogic is back in the fight, and we are very close to some fight-changing ultimates for Amazon.
Close enough, but maybe not actually close enough. We'll see. The Valkyrie might change the tides, but it's really going to be a vanilla fight mostly for Microsoft to start off with.
Big rock! That's huge. Hypno Beam is down at the 22-second mark, and Ziphos has moved forward to camp the body. There's going to be no res available, even with the Valkyrie there for that added mobility. The effect there of that supercharger cannot be understated.
Ooh, Wrecking Ball time for Hypno Beam, though. That could change a lot in terms of mobility, and Specs goes down early. This fight might be more close than it could have been.
Viva Taehyung picks up the duplicate, will pick the Wrecking Ball here, likely to get a minefield fairly soon on this one. Papa Modelo makes a swap over onto the Mayhem as well, but Senior Cheese is down. Hypno Beam's forced back away from the point. Viva Taehyung just playing Gatekeeper, gets the focusing beam in, but the adaptive shields come through and keep Hypno Beam alive for now. C-Force was able to get that Gravitic Flux on a line, and it looks like a shutout here for Microsoft 365. No scope, 1 minute 42 seconds was not enough. It's a draw on the board after King's Row.
That means that we can get to that final map tally of 8 or 9 or 10 or however many we do. This is where
this is our life now, ManofClass. We're just
this is how we're live.
Game.
It's going to happen. You know what's beautiful about this though? You saw the adaptation from Amazon Fire Force come out on the defense. And as much as the adaptations that Microsoft made after that were correct, because you only have 1 minute 45, you cannot make those adaptations. No. You're not going to get ultimates online. That's the end of the story there, because Fire Force had like almost their entire bank they could cycle through, and Office 365 maybe got the whole hog online that they never actually got to use. It was the Bob eventually, but it was all too late. They never really got them online on time. And that's just a reality of a situation like that. That time bank's so low that you know you're going to have that breaking point. You cannot swap heroes and expect to get an ultimate out of them. So we'll see whether we see something like that come through in the next few maps. But it's already much closer than we saw in Ilios. Office 365 truly almost won that map, and they get to pick the map again because no one won this map, so also no one lost it. That means the change of who picks the map doesn't occur. And every map that comes after this that gets another draw, it keeps being the same thing. Office gets to pick the map until they win one.
So I think we're going to Escort next, and on some maps, it is technically possible to get a draw, but in 4 years of playing Overwatch, I've never managed it. I've only ever seen it on stream highlights. You've got to complete a point and then basically die with 0 push on it. And you know what? It's actually really hard to do it. You've got to be trying really hard. Both teams have got to be trying to make that happen, frankly.
Yeah, and it's like, again, it is possible on every single escort map. Blizzard has confirmed it is possible, but it's mathematically and statistically unlikely, I think is what we're supposed to say here. But I think it will be Assault first. So actually draw potential. Will it be draw Nomura? Will it be draw Nuis? Or will it be draw Skya Industries? That's, of course, the question that we're going to have to ask ourselves.
Draw Nomura,
something,
maybe.
Right? We've had 2 maps so far. Only 1 map has actually been won. So still a 1-0 for Amazon Fire Force, and either team needs to get to 4 map wins in order to win out the series grand finals for CEA. Yeah, I mean it's happening, and we'll be right back with the next map after a short little break.
Welcome back to everybody, and it's a little bit of change across the board here as we move to Volskaya. Amazon Fire Force having made a couple of swaps in that short break that we gave you.
Yeah, they have Amazon Fire Force. Both teams actually have got at least some changes. So we have Asa coming back in for Xiphos. We have Chickenality coming also back into the support role on their side. And on the other side, we have, of course, Kainami back in instead of Flammable Jello. It's all back on the board, back on Volskaya. And seeing changes come out in terms of players is interesting to me, especially since that double barrier defense that we saw before is now having a different Sigma player. Normally, it's say if you come in with a sub, because you have the hero specialties or something, but it hasn't really seemed to be the case here in CEA, where it's more about giving people playtime rather than, oh, you're specifically good on that hero.
Yeah, on the offense, though, we've got what I would like to think of as a quick play lineup here. We've got very divey DPS with a very static everything else.
Kainami back on their signature Sombra hero, though, so that's always been a good Volskaya pick, of course, from the cinematic. We know that works. If it's in the cinematic, it means that hero works on that map. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, that is the rule. Oh my days! Big hook through 2 shields! Wow, NJ now in a world of trouble. Sees them rotate down onto the low ground to deal with that, but that should not have happened. Wow. Another hook comes through, and it's NJ again! Senior Cheese on a fishing expedition right now. There's going to be Hantho that's down first, Mandalogic able to find them, and Senior Cheese down as well. The defense starting to solidify here. Whereas it's going to come through onto Hantho, but SBS Baker trades their life for it. Viva Taehyung's going to fall, but Hypnobeam down as well, and a reset for the offensive side.
You're okay getting that trade late, though, because that does mean you're going to have a respawn advantage. For V for Taehyung will not quite be there just yet. It was beautiful, though, because if Senior Cheese gets that hook on NJ, it means that the defense has to kind of drop. They can't all stick on that high ground. It opened everything up for them. It forced Amazon into that bunker, where they couldn't capitalize any further. Senior Cheese came too close on his own, and that spam didn't quite work out the way they wanted it to.
1 minute down already, though, and Kainami is less than halfway towards having this EMP online, and that's really the big win condition here. You want a nice big EMP. See them rotate to the high ground, looking to maybe get a hack off here and generate some ult charge, and there we go. 70% and 2 picks on the board already. The defense looking a little bit tattered now. Oh, nice jump out of the way. The pulse bomb connects, and Viva Taehyung does a lot to save their team there. Senior Cheese seems to have some sort of vendetta here against NJ, because so far I've seen 3 hooks connect, and they've all been on NJ.
I will say, though, it really feels like Amazon Fire Force is completely out of their comfort zone when they cannot make their move themselves. You saw how good they were to when they were in that bunker to like move out, get Senior Cheese, and get a few other picks. But as soon as they're standing there waiting for something to come to them, they seem to be off beat because they can't communicate about, oh, we're going to make this play. Well, they have to react to whatever Microsoft's doing. And so far, Microsoft has been capitalizing on that beautifully. You saw how they dismantled the composition there. Point B might not be any different.
This is a deep flank, whilst Hypnobeam maintains the front line over here on the high ground. We're looking for Senior Cheese to come in around the back and find an opening pick. We've got the EMP. There it is. It won't find... No, sorry, it finds 1. Chickenality's the only one that gets hacked out here. Won't have the Transcendence. Hantho will, and we're starting to see kills come through. There's going to be a Bob on the point from the Orb of Discord. Rests heavily upon his brow, and he's focused down. 2 ticks on the table already here for Microsoft 365, and Amazon Fire Force looking a little lost right now on Volskaya.
Amazon 365 gets a time of 357. That's a beautiful line that I never thought I would say. But hey, it's Overwatch. That's how we do. I'm loving this so far, this approach. But I'm mostly concerned for Amazon Fire Force because they're truly portraying a lack of confidence in this playstyle right now. Like I said it before, when they can't make their own move and they have to play reactively, that's not their playstyle. That's not how they do things. And so far, that's how this map has been playing out, where they're waiting for Microsoft 365 Office No Scope to make a move. And that move is always paying out. They're just standing there waiting to maybe get a shot on something, get a line of sight on something. And Senior Cheese is the only target they've really been able to find because it's such a big, lumpy Roadhog that runs around. And he won't even be there anymore because they have Senior Cheese on the Diva now, Kainami on the Soldier, And this is potentially going to be a very difficult one to attack because they're still running that same composition on the Amazon side.
Yeah, this works a lot differently on the offense than it does on the defense. And frankly, we saw Amazon not able to run it on the defense particularly well. A couple of rebuffs, but ultimately crumbling, resulting in a big time bank from Microsoft on their push. Here, though, they've got a lot of options to be both defensive and reactive and start engagements off on their terms.
Because we've seen this composition work on both sides, on attack and on defense. But it's all about how you execute it, not about the heroes. And Big Easy already trying to throw a wrench in their plans by doing a little bit of tickle in the back.
Didn't quite find the one clip, but is now harrying like a sheepdog, playing at the back of them, looking to try and just pepper in some damage as they come through. Vivateko exchanges a couple of blows there, and we're going to see Big Easy take a different pathing route now up the stairs as Kainami rotates away from the defense. Big Easy still underneath. Wondering where they're going to go here. All the way around the back and looking to get in over the top. There's been no real need for anybody to exchange too much value here for now. And Amazon Fire Force doing quite a good job here of kiting out of the way of this aggression.
I like the way they're playing it, because it just means they never have to engage.
Yeah.
And because their composition is more mobile, it also means that they can't really get caught, so they're never really in a dangerous position. Now that they're on the point, though, now the contest really has to come in. Now you have to start doing something back. That first stick might be given freely, but damage is being done in the meantime.
Boy, that was so close there. Vivateko falling down to single-digit HP. One tick given over already. Pulse Bomb connects, but does not result in a kill. Chickenality finds the pick onto Senior Cheese. And they are starting to find a little bit of progress here. One tick and counting, nearly at that number 2, and down to Big Easy to try and keep this point contested. We're going to have to see this high ground defense drop down to stop this final tick coming through. It's going to be an aggressive transcendence down there. Stops some of the damage coming through, stops some of the cap coming through, but now it is going to be a shooting gallery. Big Easy comes through with the tactical visor. Hypno Beam finds one with the gravitic flux. And that's going to be where the defense puts the brakes on.
No, Smack just jumping off the map to reset. They do have quite a bit of ultimate left. They didn't use anything in that fight. They'll put them in a big advantage for the next one, but they did already burn 2 minutes off the clock. It's only one tick left. And they also need to cap point B still, so they don't want to use all those 6 ultimates in this next fight. And Big Easy might even try and throw a wrench in the plans by just getting a pulse bomb kill early on. It's very possible.
Got to be what they're looking for here. Really, you've got to be looking for a big duplicate from Vivateko. Oh, they haven't noticed Big Easy. He's in the back end. Chickenality is down. Pulse Bomb firmly planted in the back pocket there and taking him out of the fight. It's a 5v6 now, and Fire Force still appear to want to be in this. Maybe just scrabbling for that final bit of ult charge. I'd really like to see them get out here, though.
It's spawn camp time. Big Easy's going to spawn camp. But that's Zenyatta's not going to get out of spawn. It's Big Easy has anything to say about it. They're not really looking for it right now. That's surprising. I would do that if I was Big Easy right now. Oh, misses the opportunity. He misses the window. He definitely does.
So close. Big Easy can still harry them at the back. They have now successfully burnt the time down below 1 minute. It's going to be an aggressive transcendence from Chickenality. Did think Senior Cheese was going to throw in the self-destruct. Will actually get that out and stops a lot of the value coming in from that amplification matrix. Forces them all away. Smex is now out of the fight. Asa finds the gravitic flux, takes Hypno Beam out of the fight. There's the self-destruct. It's high. Is it going to land in a useful place? No, but we are 0.1% here from the cap on Hay. Vivateko now back into the primary form, but Big Easy. No, they do it. They tag off the point just for a second, and that's to do with the cap comes through. Amazon Fire Force starting to burn out resources, but they now get a go at capping B.
They're not just burning resources, they're throwing coal on the flame like you had to do in an old Asian steam engine locomotive. Like, that was everything they had, and it's just gone like that. That's insane. And now you'll have the defensive ultimates completely ready. This is not going to be a very fast time on B, it looks like.
No, almost got one tick there, but now that Hantho is on the point with a Transcendence, well, now that it's run out and they've lost Big Easy, they're in a position here where they might get a little more value out of this push, but they didn't see Kainami camped away at the back, able to find one with their tactical visor, and looking to get the primary fire kill onto Asa, and without the momentum behind them, it's gonna be hard to cap B. They're already over a minute down in time bank.
This is not going to be, like I said, there's not going to be a fast point B cap. It really cannot be anymore. By the time they cap this, it might be 1.5 minutes or less left if they do it all. And it's once again, Microsoft is being in control of that engagement. They get to choose when they go. They don't have to wait for anybody. And it's really Amazon still waiting for it. And I want to see Amazon make more aggressive moves. They've been doing okay at the attack because they're on attack. That's usually more natural to you, no matter what you play. But they have to find sort of smarter rotations.
That's a big opener, of course. SBS Baker is still there, and a big flux could stop this even with that opening pick. Chickenality takes a bit of damage, but keeps on kicking. NJ is able to find 1 kill and secures the D-Mech here. Smek's on the hunt on the higher ground, and V for Taehyung playing bodyguard, but Kainami takes him out of the fight with this swap. There's 2 ticks on the board and the Transcendence. And the Logic finds Big Easy, and with the Amplification Matrix on the table here, it's gonna be kill after kill after kill. Smex gets the bob on the point, and Senior Cheese is down. The cap comes through, and both teams getting another bite at the juicy cherry of Volskaya.
No, the pick on the Hanzo was great. I mean, if you use your Grid Flux and the Hanzo is online, he gets to do that extra damage in the air relatively easily. And then Chickenality might not live, some others might not live. And then that push is completely over. But because everyone stays alive through that, because they get to initiate with their own ultimates instead of having to react, finally Amazon gets that push in there, gets the attack that they want. And now that they're going back on the defense in this next round, we're going to talk about what they're going to do then. At least they get another shot at this. Last time they had to use all their 4 minutes to capture point A almost. Now they have 1 minute 27. And if history repeats itself, this doesn't look like it's going to be another draw. The thing is, though, they're swapping things up. They're going back to their dive composition, it seems like. Where this defense is setting up in a similar way.
I was going to say, like, the big difference here is they were running it with the Reaper previously. Instead, V for Taehyung this time coming out on the Tracer. So more mobile, but the burst damage potential significantly reduced.
You know, especially since I'm starting to see who V for Taehyung can really go after aside from Hanto. Maybe Kainami, but those Helix Roxas are super scary for a Tracer.
Yeah. A Helix melee combo, that's it, you're done.
Yeah, just out. I mean, that close range, if you Helix, you do a lot of damage to yourself, so that is tricky as a soldier. But yeah, it's still a lot of damage that you don't want to take. We'll see how this works out, because this combination difference is not really an anti-dive they're running on the other side. So the more superior dive style that they're running on this attack could just come out on top because of that.
Big Easy chase out of that nice and early, but V for Taehyung ends up trying to take the 1v2, forced to use the recall and being chased down by Senior Cheese. Lands the melee, and that's the 5v6 at the minute marker. Almost half the time bank gone as NJ comes in with a dive. Won't find the pick. The peel too good. SBS Baker controlled and kept alive in that fight. Hantho's going to get taken out there, and that's not resable. That was an environmental kill. That's actually huge here.
Especially with the quicker respawns, you could just get that straight off back, especially because they're running that Lucio, so speed boost is in effect. And they're going to be able to attack way before Hanto comes back. That's a pretty good shot there, but it's their last attack. 25 seconds, this is it. This is it, or they definitely don't win this map anymore.
They've got to go. No ultimates. V for Taehyung down, forced to recall. The closest one is going to be Panda Logic to that ult, and you can get a lot done here with the Coalescence, but it's got to come online, and it's got to come online now. SBS Baker down, traded out with V for Taehyung. Can that be taken out as well? Oh boy, this is starting to get tricky, and Panda Logic died with the Coalescence online and ready to go. Chickenality and NJ, the only ones left in the fight. Hypno Beam alive and still trying to keep this stalled out. They've got to deal with Chickenality. They've got to deal with Asa, but they are stalled. And now they've got the Gravitic Flux online, but it didn't find Asa. Asa was able to tag back on and keep that contested. V for Taehyung gets the pick, but SBS Baker was able to get back into the Tracer, and the Pulse Bomb comes in, takes SBS Baker out of the fight. There is still a way here for Amazon Fireforce to camp point A and get another run in at B. Smex closes in on the EMP, has it online and ready to go. Would love to save that for the next fight, isn't going to have it. The D-Mech needs to come through now quickly onto Senior Cheese to stop that self-destruct coming through and the remake coming through as well. We're already 1.5 ticks already capped here for Amazon Fire Force, and as deep as they've dug, as valiantly as they've fought, that's going to be as far as it goes.
The respawn advantage almost kicking in heavily. It was almost time to say, yeah, this is why you play dive sometimes on these maps. Because if you can keep trading, eventually you'll, through the war of attrition, through the quicker respawns, get that. They did get some percentage. A draw is completely out of the question here. But 3 minutes 57, this is really where you have to pull everything that you have out. Because 55% is not that hard to cap on Volskaya first. It's not an impossible task at all, especially when you've basically got the 4 minutes that you usually get. We'll see how they're going to defend this time around, because this is really where the biggest change, in my opinion, had to come in for Amazon, where they needed to not play reactively. And even with a double barrier, they could play actively. You can actually catch the teams in rotation. You know, when they go to the objective, you like drop behind them, you flip the map on them. There's definitely options there. But it just seems that Amazon Fire Force is so comfortable on this dive style composition that they've been running. V for Taeyong actually going back to the Reaper for this one. So it's back to Ilios Amazon Fire Force. And we'll see if that actually works out for them. We know they can play very well with it, but we also know they struggled on King's Row with it. And so far, this map has not been their greatest success. That's a cool position to hold in, though. I'll say that much. Like, if they can make that work, that will be amazing.
I guess they're going for basically a rush. They're going to send Smex out forward to gather some intel as to who's going where and what they're running. Of course, we won't be able to see Kainami. They're going to pass like ships in the night. Kainami will be the one to find out this info. They won't push in without it. Looks like they're still scouting, and out comes effectively the dive.
Wow.
And it's a nice one. The big collapse, both supports down, and Microsoft are going to have to back out here. Viva Taekyoung's going to drop, but given it with a TP, oh no, Smex down as well. Respawn advantage is going to be huge here for Microsoft. And they're still on the hunt for more picks. Big Easy, not at full health, but ready to take this fight if they can.
Yeah, the comp's made for walking. That's just what they'll do. One of these days, this comp is gonna walk all over you. That's what Microsoft is saying right now, and they're doing exactly that. Senior Cheese looking for the hook. Almost gonna find it. Will not be able to take it out. It's a Roadhog. You can't just dive on that.
No, you got to be careful. Pick your dive targets carefully. But Amazon have done a nice job here of turtling up and waiting until the DPS are back in and ready to fight. Taekyoung comes back in on the tracer this time. Smex is able to find Big Easy, take them out of the fight, but that is a heck of a trade. NJ caught out here as well. The only benefit here for them is they will have Panda Logic's Coalescence, but they've got to dodge the rock, they've got to dodge the hook, they've got to dodge the hack to make that work. Senior Cheese takes the damage. The breather takes the opportunity to throw in the whole hog. Kainami takes both supports off the table. The worst possible two to lose on the defense. And it's all over. While the crying, Big Easy will ignore the whiffed pulse bomb there. We knew what you were going for. It just didn't come to pass. And 3 maps in, we are all tied up in the Series Classic.
All tied up, still at least 3 maps to go, and Phil, it's becoming to look more and more like a series, whereas Ilios was fairly convincingly in the hands of Amazon Fire Force. King's Row almost went to Microsoft. Now we're going to see a convincing win on Volskaya from Microsoft. That may mean that Microsoft has finally found their groove, that they're not going to lose the map anymore in this series, but of course, we're definitely going to get back to control at least once. We'll see if that makes a difference for Amazon. And then we get into the very interesting territory of seeing who can win the other maps. But this time, Fire Force finally gets to pick the first map.
Mm-hmm. And it almost, if you've been watching the entirety of this series with myself and Classy, you know that one of our weekly talking points is you need to be good at 2 map types to win a best of 5 series, which is Assault and Control. And we've just seen Fire Force lose one of those map types, so they're only good at one of them. We will eventually come back to more Control maps, but they're not going to be in that position where they can just auto win by having those map types locked in and under their belt. But I do feel like Fire Force was seeing a lot more success when they were on that dive rush hybrid style.
Yeah, definitely. It's become more of that. And to be honest, I don't mind it. I do think that's a composition style that works for them. It's just that they're putting themselves into a very awkward position before they finally switch over to it. So it's almost like a reactive Hail Mary composition, or this is so comfortable that we can work against anything, and they're using it as a standard strategy outside of Control. So I would like them to either just go for that. It's basically say, we're gonna play this composition and gonna make it work wherever we start. To just put it straight away on the neutral ground, or they have to start making some adaptations in their other compositional styles. Because that double barrier, it's not a bad composition at all.
No.
It definitely can work. It's all about the execution here. We're not talking about, they can't play those heroes. We're talking about they're not capitalizing on the power of the composition correctly a lot of the time.
We have, however, got our next map locked and loaded. We're going to be going to Route 66 this time, Fire Force's map choice. And I feel like this is a map that really suits their particular style of play. I think with a lot of the ability to take and force people off of high ground here, this is a map that could work out really well for them.
It really could. And if I might be so bold,
please be.
We might be seeing something that has to do with the high seas. It has to do with finding treasure.
We might
has to do with peg legs and hooks for hands. We might definitely see something like that. Yeah, exactly. Goat farming. That's definitely a we might be seeing something like that, whether it's with the Torbjorn or with the Bastion or with both or anything like. There's definitely a potential for that. On the other hand, we see Office 365 that has been running that May a few times. We could be seeing them try and hold close in that first cave. Just use the wall constantly to try and keep contesting the payload without actually having to fight a lot of the time. There's options here for some flexibility to come out. Route 66, beautiful map for that. But so far, long-range hit scan has been more on the Big Easy's shoulders than it has been on anyone on the side of Fire Force. So that might be another dynamic that comes in. A lot of question marks still here on this map for Route 66, but I'm sure Amazon is a good reason for picking it.
Yeah. We have actually had some swaps coming through, this time again for Fire Force. Panda Logic back in and Chickenality out this time. I'd love to know a little bit more about the reasoning behind that one. It's not entirely clear what each player is bringing over the other, except I guess a difference in hero pools, but clearly they've got something in mind for this one. Office 365, however, sticking with what they've got. And I wanted to point out, we've seen a lot of Sombra from Kainami. I think we've seen mostly Sombra, in fact. On this sheet, however, they're listed as being a Genji player, which, I realize not the strongest pick here. Not the strongest pick here, but I would like to see that come out.
Konami was playing a lot of Soldier on that last map. I think you might be thinking that Smex has been a lot of the Sombra, which has been the case. Konami's also played the Sombra a fair bit, though. They've been swapping around. But they play a lot of Sombra. And there has been a discussion going on lately, also in the higher tiers of teams, like whether that Sombra is a good addition instead of an Echo or instead of a Tracer. A lot of the more high tier meta compositions. And it always comes down to, yes, the Sombra can work, but you need to be really, really coordinated on capitalizing on the vanilla hacks, capitalizing on the information that you're gathering with it. That all needs to be so on point that a lot of the time, just the other team working slightly against you in that format will devalue that Sombra by such a degree that you can't capitalize on her win conditions anymore. And that's when she just loses the general fight value that Tracer does bring, because she doesn't have to work with that invisibility mechanic, with that recall mechanic. And that's just a change that comes in. Of course, these teams, not worrying about this as much, but you still see the difference in what Big Easy is able to do in the Tracer versus Smex on the Sombra sometimes, and those type of dynamics.
Yeah, and just a correction, my summation of the swap coming through was incorrect. It is, in fact, Impact coming in for Chickenality this time. But it looks, ManofClass, like we are maybe just sorting out a few issues here for our team. So whilst we wait for them to get into the lobby proper and ready to run again, we are going to throw it to a very quick break. We'll join you as the map kicks off after this.
Exactly. Get the hot cocos.
Okay, back a little bit quicker than we expected. Hot cups of coffee, hot cups of cocoa at the ready for what looks to be a blisteringly hot day on Route 66. No swaps just yet. Microsoft 365 starting on the offense. A little bit wild and wacky in the spawn. On the defense, though, expect this to be what is stuck with as they start to make their preparations.
Definitely, and its defense so far. I mean, we were talking about that's probably a reason why they picked this, and it's been traditionally a decent Torbjorn map, especially on the defense. You put that turret where Fever Taeyong is right now on that far bench. You just walk away from it, and you have an extra off angle for free. That's what you love to see. Means they will have a slightly further back defense, no in your face in the spawn, but it's mostly, of course, what we're looking for, that adaptation from them. Is that double barrier are they gonna show a different color with it? Are they gonna be more aggressive with it, or are they just gonna sit and wait again?
Well, so far they're just giving up a lot of cart push here for free. Don't expect too much to stop that until it rounds this corner and we can see them actually contest from the high ground of Big Earls. But this for both teams means that there's not a lot of resource being generated by terms of ult charge, but watch for Senior Cheese here to get this first initiation hook. He's watching for that barrier to come down. Sees it go out one more time, not opting for it just yet. Big Rock comes through, but no follow-up damage as we see Amazon Fire Force rotate around the sign and avoid the incoming damage. And here's where the hold starts to solidify, where you can contest from the high ground. Instead, we see Konami opt to hop up with a little bit of help there from the Mercy. Now on the Echo, won't find the kill, but we'll take the turret out of the mix. And this has got to change now from Amazon Fire Force. They're doing damage, but they're not stopping the cart. If they lose this fight, that's it. They get no more attempt to hold this cart.
Oh, that's a good pick, though. Panda Logic, that's one thing out. The Immortality Field used. This is not looking great.
Oh,
the Halt Hook combo, the Halt
angle.
Accretion combo is not hitting, and Big Easy is just taking the off-angle dominance.
Yeah, Big Easy completely took the task on that one. It's a full wipe, and Amazon Fire Force. Wow, someone must have called 911 because they were not there for that fight. They were on call somewhere else entirely.
And immediately that swap comes out. Just back to the good old dive with the Reaper Sombra. Just no shenanigans, no waiting on the high ground. We're going to make our own move. And they have to. They were just standing there, not even contesting the cart. There was nothing happening from their side. And that's really their weakness in terms of that composition, that they don't know how to initiate anything with it. They don't know how to make a move.
Yeah, it's a really passive composition. And this is anything but passive here. We'll see the Gravitic Flux comes through and the kills start to rack up on the back of it. Turns out, Classy, you knock 50% of a hero's HP out of the running, and they're real easy to kill.
Is that how that works? I gotta try that in my games, Phil. Honestly, I did not know that, but I'm happy that they show it to us. No, but this is why we do this. They show us these gameplay elements. They show us these mechanics that we're not aware of. They give us play tips for ourselves, but
I wish
right
it
now
worked.
I'm going to be seeing.
I wish it worked.
I want to know what Senior Cheese is going to do with this whole hog, because of course, you know, it's not the most loved ultimate in the game, but Senior Cheese has been playing so excellently on this Roadhog. I'm sure they'll be able to show us a trick or two.
Oh. When the fishing couldn't find it, Whole Hog's going to be used defensively to blast them all away and off the cart. Helps Viva Taehyung get focused down. Panda Logic down as well. Senior Cheese back up to full health. Stick comes through, but I believe that connects with the tank, so no kills on the back of it. Konami has to duplicate this time. It's the Sombra. Generates the EMP. Gets the D-Mech. Gets the kill. Won't find the second EMP, but isn't going to need it. Asa. So long, my friend.
Not long for that world anymore as that Pilot Diva form. Konami just going to be spamming here in a little bit. It's been such a tragic, or it's such a tough one to work with right now because they still don't really have any ultimates online. But this EMP fight, this should be the one. If they're going to hold at any point in time, this should be it. But then your Lucio goes down.
No, that's really, really unfortunate. It's the 5v6. The EMP has to be the equalizer here. Big Easy is hacked out. Ass is able to find Hypno Beam. Viva Taehyung buys some space. And finally a hold on the card here for Amazon Fire Force. But they're not out of the woods just yet. Whole Hog comes through. Self-destruct committed here as well. Pulse Bomb from Big Easy finds 2. Impact back out of the fight already. And NJ down. Microsoft, They bounce back, they hit the mat, and they come back up swinging, and they're going to be rounding that cart through into point C without breaking much of a sweat.
And that's the danger of that composition. There's so much instant pick potential, whether it's the hook, whether it's the accretion combos, whether it's a pulse bomb, whether it's the focus beam, pulse mines, pulse bomb thingies that Echo throws out. Forgot what they're called. It's just a lot of things, and then combining it with the with Discord Orb makes it even worse. Now there's a counter initiation coming up with the Coalescence, though. This could be an opening again.
It could. Coalescence didn't find any picks, but it did buy a bit of space and allowed Amazon Fire Force to retake possession of the card. But man, Senior Cheese cannot be messed with. V for Taehyung losing that 1v1. Hypno Beam, we're going to call that one a zoning gravitic books. Nobody caught in it, but what a huge amount of space.
So Phil, let me pose something for you here. If you play dive against that composition of Microsoft, what do you dive on?
I mean, ideally,
what's your target?
Hantho, SBS, Baker.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well,
so why are they all going after Senior Cheese?
That's a really good question. This time it worked out. V for Taehyung was able to find something there, but the duplicated EMP comes in over the top. NJ already down. Kainabi runs them over. There's the D-Mech as well. Sees Impact. Gets them with the stickies, looks to get a few more connects, has the finishing beam, but Impact backs into the healing spray of the Moira and will live to fight another day, but the cart is still rolling forward under the supervision of Senior Cheese. Asa down again.
Senior Cheese gets another one.
Self-destruct out from Asa again, won't find anything here. The burning time off the clock, but Microsoft looking less than singed. Microsoft looking flame retardant here. Smex has the EMP, and it's a biggie, but they've already lost V for Taehyung, and it didn't get Hantho. Hantho keeps them alive for the EMP. Impact is back, and we'll see every ult available here for Amazon Fire Force thrown into the game. Force connects onto NJ, and he is down, burnt through all 1,000 HP. It's a trading fight, but it favors the defense. Hack comes through onto Big Easy. Will survive, won't survive. Smex find them with the old right hook. A bit of chin music, and Smex is down one more time to Senior Cheese.
Senior Cheese just getting so much value out here. It's just crazy. Like, he's coming out on that Roadhog, consistently hooking and then killing the targets it gets after. The rest of the team helps as well. And I keep saying it, why do you go after the Roadhog? The Roadhog is not going to be the one you get on your first jump. You got to get a squishier target, whether it's the Reaper, the Sombra, the Moira, or the Lucio.
Man, that was good. This time, Kainami was stopped before the EMP could be built. Shadow comes, outputs 2 on the ground. 1 support down already as the hack comes through. Pandalogic not there to keep them alive. Senior Cheese gets another one. This time, our big old EMP from Smack's going to hit 6. But it's not gonna be enough. They get it done with primary fire. No abilities required. 3 meters left to go, and we're down below the 30-second marker. The kills coming through thick and fast, and they're coming through here in favor of Microsoft 365. No scope. Big Easy looking to get the rundown there on Impact. Can't quite find Asa, but Kainami with the focusing beam takes them out as well. And this is all to see if we can get this into overtime. There's no defending this. There's the Shadow. Connects with the Winston, and NJ is down. And there's the complete of the map.
They did get stalled out a few times. I'll give them that. But they did get it to overtime. But so far, Amazon Fire Force is still distraught. They're still in disarray. They're still looking for an answer to especially this Roadhog. And it looks like they're so distracted by the Roadhog being a thing just in the first place.
Yeah.
That they're almost I wouldn't say forgetting the fundamentals of dive, but that they're using resources to deal with that Roadhog just being present that they could use for other purposes. It's like their distribution of where they dive, how they dive, what they use for it, etc., are all too centered around the fact that there is a Roadhog on the field. And while I get that, because Senior Cheese is hitting a lot of abilities right now, it is also a hero that is relatively easy to dodge, duck, and dive away from. And it should not make as big of an impact. Now, on this defense, they will run out with Senior Cheese on that D.Va, which they're also really proficient on. And you would hope that actually changes the dynamic of how these teams play against each other. And now we're going to see whether it's actually that Roadhog that makes the difference, or whether this D.Va, or whether it's just the entirety of Microsoft that's just making them play differently.
Here's my question, or my problem. Winston with a jetpack. D.Va with flight, Smex on the Sombra with the translocate, Reaper with the fade, Moira with the fade, Impact on the Lucio with the fade. How is anybody getting hooked this often? They've all got escape mechanics. It's crazy.
Yeah. And even then, even when you get hooked, you have a D.Va on your team that can eat any damage following up. And this is good. They get the kill on the Big EZ. That means that they have an opening where they don't have to worry about the Tracer. They're getting a lot of damage on other heroes. And the card is progressing. This is a good start.
Big bring geometry on that damage off from PandaLogic takes Big EZ out of the fight, but Asa's going to give the mech here, and Impact is already down. The one good thing you've got here for Amazon Fire Force is that this is a lot of card progress for one push. Viva Taehyung still up, dodges back into the health pack to keep up the fight, but Big EZ is back, and as the hack comes through, Big EZ runs down Viva Taehyung. NJ still in the fight, but lacking reinforcements. Forces Senior Cheese out and will secure the D-Mech here, but really Amazon Fire Force are going to have to back out because Microsoft are still in charge of the payload.
It was a good start to that fight, but especially that losing that mech on Asa is such a big deal. I mean, that D.Va can do so much for your team, not just in terms of extra health, but also, you know, the defense matrix is so good, the extra damage if she dies on somebody. It's just a lot to lose. It's bigger than losing a Tracer, that's for sure. And now the EMP is going to be ready for Kainami. They're going to have to be so careful about approaching this.
Really wanted to kill out of that pulse bomb. EMP comes through and it's... Oh no, it's going to hit 3, sorry. Asa, Impact, and PandaLogic all taken down. It's a nice combo for Microsoft 365. No scope. Microsoft 365, no worries.
They're really just looking so solid right now. Ever since that control map, it's been just a world of difference. And you mean we're going to see control after this map again, but it might already be a 2-1 down for Amazon to try and even up the score. Because right now, we're looking at a 1-1 draw. Yeah. And Microsoft looking very good to take away this map. It's very hard to get this, but a good EMP initiation can change everything.
Yeah, and Chantho and SBS Baker taking out the fight incredibly quickly, and without the supports online, it's difficult to win out the extended fight. The best you can hope for here is just to burn a bit more time off the clock. Big EZ taken down. Are we going to see the tag back in here from Kainami? I think they've lost that opportunity, frankly.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to make this. This just should be the first point captured, which is great. I mean, it extends the map further, but it's still looking like a pretty big struggle that they're having to go through. It's still not looking as smooth as we'd like it to. That being said, with the ultimates that are online for both teams right now, and with Smex actually catching up in ultimate charge with Kainami, it's looking like a very different set of rules here. It actually is looking like Amazon might be in the advantage in a lot of situations here.
There's the Pulsar out first from Big EZ. Looks like it was one more time connecting with the tank, or missing entirely on that one. NJ has the Primal Rage into the back line, looking to start juggling some fools. Viva Taehyung. Whoa! NJ just focused down, hacked, bashed, Orb discorded, and left wrung out to dry.
NJape is just a very nice target to focus teams for Microsoft. No matter what hero they're on, they're either getting hooked or torn apart or anything. The follow-up on that is just very good from the side of Microsoft. And that's not necessarily NJape's fault. It's it also depends on like what the call is, like where do we dive, how do we dive. But it is a remarkable thing to see a Winston or a main tank in general just go down so fast so many times.
There's just and they're gone. We'll see the Coalescence come out first, and the self-destruct into the back, and Senior Cheese finds Viva Taehyung, who has now been holding on to that Death Blossom for what feels like a minute and a half here. Smex has been able to catch up with ult charge already. Kainami gets the manual hack with a rundown NJ down the body block to stop Asa escaping, and they are just gonna leave the pilot form D.Va alive as long as possible. There she goes. What a stagger.
They were looking at a decent base. They were looking at a decent speed to go through the map. Now this timer is going down further and further, and this card hasn't moved beyond this bridge. It's looking more and more like a potential overtime push, if at all. Could we see Panda Logic on the Brigitte, though? Maybe some more backline pressure, and the EMP is good!
Yeah, EMP is good, and the Death Blossom finds two. Looks like we're going to see a little more cart push here coming through from Amazon Fire Force. There is some time for Microsoft to get back in and start to keep the cart contested, burn some more time off the clock, but it's looking pretty good here, particularly with the self-destruct to force people off the cart at the last second.
As well as the Primal Rage. I mean, NJape has it ready. I mean, I know you kind of don't want to mention NJape because you think he's going to get blown up again really quickly, but let's have faith in NJape. I think he can definitely do it. He's alive still, has the Primal Rage, double tank ultimate. This should be a relatively seeable cap.
Ooh, NJape down to what's a little over 10% HP, and the cap comes in. Self-destruct's going to find two, but at that point, you're more than happy to die there to a self-destruct because it's not getting anybody ult charge and they don't have it for the next good fights.
And then NJape essentially is giving away 800 to 1,000 health just to get that card there because it stalled out so many players in that tunnel. It gave such a fight advantage for Amazon Fire Force. And now they have 2 minutes 10 to push into this last point. There is plenty of time, but they also used all their ultimates in that last fight, so they are a bit down. They need at least 1 or 2 fights to recuperate, especially if you look at that bank that Microsoft's working with. That's an insane amount of ultimates.
And now with the rally as well, they might not even need anything else. They can just do this by out-bulking Amazon Fire Force. The Taehyung down, the tip of the spear disappears, your punching power significantly reduced as if you were suddenly granted much tinier fists.
They do have their own rally now, as well as almost a Death Blossom, so there's definitely initiation potential. But the EMP from Kainami is likely going to be the big thing, and there it is.
There it is, and oh, that's a nice hack. Hypnobeam does still find one, and it's NJ down at the start of the fight. Again, at the very least, wasn't able to capitalize on the rest of that ultimate. Big Easy finds Smegs and is on the hunt just a little more at the back end of the fight, has the pulse bomb ready to go, and we're seeing a really good job done of cycling ultimates here for Microsoft.
I will say, it's not, like, again, it's not NJape's fault that he's getting pressured so much. It is just, it's hard to play tank right now, especially main tank. But we'll see if that changes throughout the series. Still, there's potential, and the Death Blossom might open that up.
Hey, man, a lot of space gained here. Kills still coming through. Big Easy is away in the back, stalling out the cart a little bit. There is definitely going to be opportunity for some cart store here, but ideally, Microsoft, they want to stop this here. They don't want to have to go to a 1 minute round where shenanigans can give the worst performing team, the less performing team, unexpected advantage. It's a big EMP, but one more time does not catch Hantho. Kainami's going to go down. The stick comes through from BZ. It's a 1-for-1 trade as Impact brings the sound barrier online. BZ with the second here. Senior Cheese for the third. Hantho with the fourth. And the self-destruct sent high and wide here. Big numbers advantage now for Microsoft. 365, no scope. They've got the defensive chops. They've got the defensive new. We're into overtime and there are still meters on the clock. The charge connects. No touch. And we have another leader in the series. Microsoft Office 365 no scope, moving up to 2v1 in the series.
Very nicely done from them. Of course, we really want to give all the shout-outs to Senior Cheese. I don't think it was done. It wasn't just a Roadhog. That Diva play was also really good. I don't think they got zero value out of any of their self-destructs this entire round, which is a testament to not only their play, but also to the rest of the team recognizing where to push enemies, when to use the self-destruct, how to combo with it. It's just been very nice. And Amazon Fire Force, while they started out really well in control, they have been starting to lose some momentum in terms of how their composition works and how they play it out. Doesn't mean it's over by a long shot. I mean, we've only had 4 maps so far. It's only a 2-1 lead. We still need at least 2 more wins from Microsoft and 3 more wins from Fire Force to close out the series. So we have some maps to go through, and we've had the cycle. 4 map types that have been played, which means I'm going to go back to control.
That's right. We're in a Roadhog day of map types here, back to where we started this morning. With, of course, be a different control map. We're not just going to loop back to Ilios. Well, seems a shame when there are so many other lovely control maps to play through. It is still going to be loser's choice here. So Fire Force with another stab at taking their map pick here. And of course, we have already seen them take a control map. So we could actually see a draw here. We might just be seeing, when I say draw, I don't mean on the control map itself. I mean in the series, we could see them move to 2-2 in the series and just guarantee being here for the rest of the calendar year.
Sure, definitely. And you know what? If this is our last event that we get to cast for 2020, Phil, why not make it a long one? You know, I need to last on this until like New Year's or like longer. You know, to actually feel like I've done something the last few weeks of the year.
I want to lean into this, but I do have a booking for tomorrow as well, potentially. So I'd like to be able to make that if I can. You know, look, if this is still going, I'll call it off. But, you know, just putting that out there, I do have other things on my plate.
Sure. Well, we're waiting everything can happen. Maybe get some subs. Oasis looks to be the next map choice. But Phil, what are we gonna do?
Yes.
Are we gonna talk about our behavior in game? Are we talking about what food are we gonna have for Christmas? There's definitely things we can talk about right now. I had a topic earlier. I kind of forgot. Yeah.
No, look, I've kind of forgotten what map we just played, and it's actually on screen for me still, so I don't want to cover that.
I know, right?
I will say that I have bought for the first time basically vegan fake turkey to have for Christmas. I'm not vegan myself, I'm a vegetarian, but it's hard to get good vegetarian like substitutes for a Christmas meal. So I'm excited to try that. It's the one day I'm having off for the rest of the year from my 1,600 calorie a day diet.
Hey, you know what? You gotta start somewhere.
You absolutely do. Yeah,
it's been a good one. Yeah, I've been running lately, which has been a very interesting exercise.
What's been chasing you?
Responsibilities mostly, but yeah, no, it's see what I did there. No, it's been good. It's been fun. Oasis is indeed going to be the next map here, though. And if there's any map where you could do a lot of running, a lot of dodging, diving, dipping, it's definitely Oasis. I mean, most notably that city center. You have that little pagoda in the middle, and then everyone just keeps on rotating, keeps on running around, and keeps on running away from everybody.
It's the Benny Hill
99 special. It really is. And, you know, it could be close between these two teams. Of course, Fire Force won the last control map on Ilios in a, I would say, you know, a fairly confident fashion. It wasn't a complete wipeout, of course, but it definitely looked like they were in control most of the time. Which now control is very helpful. And we'll see if they can repeat that performance, because Office 365 has been coming back with a vengeance. Like, they've been playing really well on these last 3 maps. Of course, have been winning 2 of them, drawing the other one, which they also were in the winning position of. So it's really still up to Fire Force to show that they got what it takes to actually take these maps back and even up the series again.
Yeah, I think everything's been very close, which for a grand finals is really what you want. Yeah, you don't want one team just getting the 4-0 stomp. You want to prove that your tournament has worked and that the cream has risen to the top of the milk of the tournament, and that you are successfully getting the best stage for your players to play on. It does look, however, like we might be having to take a short break while we give our players a chance to get some more water. So we're going to search for some more metaphors in the break, and we'll bring them to you in just a couple minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We are, of course, getting ready to load into our next map, which is still going to be a ways. There's no changes in the downtime. But, Classy, we've been a little bit remiss this evening because whilst it is the end of this current season of the CEA tournaments more broadly, not just Overwatch, but everything else that's being run, there's another one just around the corner.
Yeah, talking about end and already looking at the beginning of the next one. It's great, honestly. Signups are already open for this, so the CEA next season is already open for signups. I think they're open until February the 6th, and then the actual tournament will start on the 12th. So the Monday after. There will be Monday games from now on with broadcasts throughout the week. So Monday evenings instead of the Saturday morning, afternoon Pacific time. So it will be a bit different as a shift, but we'll see if that actually, maybe that will be more fun for others, less fun for, some.
Maybe.
It'll be an interesting switch. But yeah, if you feel like signing up as a company or as something else, just go check out the CEA website Discord and make sure you get read up on that and sign up your team. It's going to be great.
That's right, and a quick search on social media will find that, or it is just CEA.GG, and it's a round of GGs for both our teams as they start to connect. It's the Rhine for both sides. Senior Cheese and Z-Plus making the difference here, but Viva Taehyung comes in with a quick double, taking both supports out of the lineup here for Microsoft 365 No Scope. Will eventually get punished by Kainami, but not going to survive long in the situation without your supports online, forcing out the recall there. Smex takes Big Easy out and sees Big Easy just keep on flanking out of the way, but into the unavoidable damage there from Impact. A little bit of a tag back on here from Microsoft 365 to keep this going through, but NJ is not afraid to close the distance and keep swinging, launches the big fire strike in, but Synergy is able to find Smex here. You have to stand in the back and just rain in the damage. The shadow comes through from NJ, finds one, finds the second team, was able to find Hypnobeam and take them out of the fight here. With one last parting blow, Pulse Bomb connects with the shield. Kainami taken down, and they just don't know they're dead yet, Cassie.
It's finally happened. They finally got the point. They finally finished the fight. Now Biggie Z will go over to that Ashe straight away. Senior Cheese over to the Zarya. So they make some swaps out of here. But Kainami on the Mei has been a menace to deal with, as well as to a degree Smex on that McCree. Different looks from them. We saw it on King's Row earlier, was definitely being valuable. As now once again going to look for those flashbangs.
Ooh, there's the Blizzard on the wall, makes it inescapable. Viva Taehyung pulls the trigger a little bit early on that tire, doesn't find any kills with it, and with no ultimates left to speak of, Microsoft 365 No Scope, they come back in and say, hey, Microsoft 365, no worries, my friend. Cap the point back off you.
And honestly, just a great play with the Blizzard. I think that's definitely where that came down to. Good wall behind it. The counter charge from Hypnobeam had also secured that at least NJ was going to be in a very horrible position to counter against that. And it even completely devalued Viva Taehyung's tire. Just one ultimate changed everything.
Oh, Viva Taehyung finds the entry frag. This time it's Kainami down first. TNT comes in from Big Easy, now over on the Ashe. Smex taken out in the middle of the high noon. Much like the barrage, it's a very loud suicide button. Chickenality is able to find one here, but one is not going to cut the mustard. In fact, one not doing much cutting of anything at all, and Big Easy reigns in the terror from the high ground.
Very nicely done. They once again try to use their speed boost advantage and chickenality to overrun what Fire Force is trying, sort of 365 No Scope is trying to do, but it's not working out as well as it was on Ilios. There's too much high ground, there's too much weird structures around here that allow for Microsoft to dodge that speed boost engage. They're gonna now at least try and clear this high ground now. Don't give Big Easy another chance, but that's a good bomb.
It's a good bob, but unfortunately the bob knockup is straight up, not straight backwards, and it means that BZ was not able to find too much with that. However, Senior Cheese has the grab, and Hypnobeam's able to swing through that. Viva Taehyung's able to find one here. Hypnobeam's going to take a minute to take that trap out of the equation. Viva Taehyung trap out of the sky like the world's most unconventional duck, and Microsoft 365 hold on to the point, and its last fight, Territory Classic.
Only one more fight separates Microsoft 365 from winning their first control round. Didn't win any on Ilios. They're looking to get their first one here, and that's a good wall that might even stop them from coming in. No, it won't. It's a bit too early. But still, great stuff. Smex of the Reaper now.
It's going to be down for Vipate to get something done here with the Riptide, but he's down and out already. Zephos looking to tag back in with the flight that comes as part and parcel of the Gravitic Flux, but frozen out, and all the science in the world is not going to save you from the inevitability of frostbite.
I think we're truly talking about ultimate value difference here. Fever Taeyong, 2 tires, 0 eliminations. That's not a Junkrat type of value you want to see. A lot of damage they did as well was just spam damage to get their tires charged up with it. They also charged up SBS Baker's and Hunto's ultimates, so not quite the value you wanted to see out of that, as well as some of the other ultimates that just didn't quite land where they needed to. Coalescence, even, Smex, I didn't even got an ultimate in the entire thing, either on the McCree or the Reaper. Then are going to be swapping things up, of course, back to the dive composition with the Reaper Sombra, as we've seen them do before. They were really good at it on control, so we might see the value come back out. But with a different opponent in terms of composition, Microsoft 365 still looking to throw a wrench in those plans by playing the Reinhardt and even the Echo again.
Yeah, Kanavi certainly got a little work done on the Echo last time they were in on that particular pick. Slightly quicker to the high ground position here from Amazon Fire Force, and they're going to start to push their way in through the stairs, but the focusing being takes impact out of the fight, and that was the engine of this composition. That was what was driving them forward, the surety that they would get healed through pretty much anything coming their way, and as that's out of the fight, as impact is out, we are going to see Microsoft take that cap and come out of that with a good chunk of ult charge ready to go as well.
The hair loss has kicked in. Mr. Clean is in the building. That was such a nice fight to just clean it up straight away. I'm very happy to see that Microsoft is able to get this together so consistently right now. And yeah, that's really good for them. Of course, not so good for Fire Force, but at least they dodged the pulse bomb.
Oh, well, Big Easy overstays his welcome on that one. Give the cold shoulder as Smex hacks them out of the fight entirely. 5v6 for the team currently making their ingress through. Shadow comes in, puts 3 on the ground already. He's going to come out from Hantho here as well. Keeps them nice and sturdy and comfy in this last fight. And the kills come through, falling like dominoes around Amazon Fire Force. And another hold here for Microsoft 365 no-scope.
40% and counting. Ultimate still in the bank. The real thing they have to be worried about next fight is sustain from the sound barrier, as well as mainly that EMP. SBS Baker has to be able to dodge that EMP from Smex before they throw out the sound barrier. Otherwise, this might be a very tough fight for them to win.
Yeah, so it's going to be all down to Smex here. Smex has got to find the big initiation, and that's a heck of a start. SBS Baker taken out, no supports available, and now the entirety of Microsoft made incredibly vulnerable here. Senior Cheese is still alive, will get hacked up, won't be able to get the remake here, but bought a little bit more timing control point, putting him at the 3/4 control mark.
Everything about that fight was exactly as it needed to be. You dive the back line, get them out of there. No opportunity for a sound barrier, no Hunto on the line, and then that EMP comes out after. That's almost questionable, but because they did such a clean dive, they had to use nothing else. I'm all for it.
That's right, and of course, both tank ults, support ult, nearly both support ults. Self-destruct, unfortunately, lands on the high ground here for Senior Cheese, meaning no kills, not a lot of damage. Interesting pickup here from Kana. He picks up the Lucio. Obviously, some fragging potential, sound barrier potential, can't be overlooked either. Shadow comes through, but it's Zephos with the save. Self-destruct comes through and finds 2. Impact with the cleanup, and they have won this one out, but look at those ult charge percentages now for Amazon Fire Force. It's single digits, double digits in some cases, but not looking great.
And they could have had that Death Blossom, but Fever Taeyong chooses to throw it out even after Zephos gets like a triple kill with the self-destruct. It's similar to that EMP from Smex. I don't think you needed that, and those impurities, especially on control, can cost you dearly. So far, though, they are still in control.
Big is looking for the stick, might have just found the bubble there, so no picks. Big Easy, gotta be careful now, does not want to get hacked out by Smex, who is at low HP, but they can't find that last little bit of damage. Instead, it's gonna be Hypno Beam looking to swing through. Both tanks effectively neutered here. Now that Zephos is out of the mech, it just remains down for Smex and Vipate to try and keep this going that little bit longer. Chicanality tags back in and plays Ring Around the Rosie out of the way of Senior Cheese. Senior Cheese takes out Zephos as the EMP comes through here from Smex, and with the coalescence in over the top, that might just be enough to turn the tides. It was looking so good for Microsoft there.
It really was, but unfortunately, Amazon just once again showing that their control power is bigger than your control power sometimes. Ooh. I'm definitely looking very, very happy for them right now. 1-1 is going to be the score after this round. And then we're going to the final one of City Center. This fight is over. I mean, there's a sound barrier, but who really catches that? This is... they're trying to come back, but they really need picks, and it's not happening.
Senior Cheese is back, will have the self-destruct. Needs to get a couple with this one. Only finds V for Taehyung. The fight's still going on, but Big Easy is down and out. Hypnobeam's now back on the Wrecking Ball, sets up that spin to win. Any point with a central column that you can just swing around for days is good value here for a Wrecking Ball. But Senior Cheese is demegged, and whilst the DPS have moved over onto speed picks, they're not going to be back quickly enough or in significant enough numbers with significant enough pick potential to really make that work out. Hypnobeam hacked and taken out of the fight. Big Easy is able to find one here, takes Impact out, but the hacks are going to continue coming through here as long as Smex is alive, and that's it. It's 1-1 here on Oasis.
Look, that went on for way longer than it maybe had to, but at least they still win it. It would have been really, really shady if they just weren't able to close that one out, Phil, because they were in such control of that one. Let's see what's gonna come out of this one. We're in a 1-1 on this control map. This could decide whether we get at least 2 more maps or at least 1 more map in this series. It's a 2-1 lead for Microsoft 365 no scope, and that means that if they win this one, they're in 3-1 and they are in match points. That's just how it is. But we'll see if Amazon Fire Force can keep their control prowess on live, bring this back to a 2-2 in the series. Certainly looking more capable after that last round. Just clean up a few of those ultimate mismanagements. Not really mismanagement, maybe overusage here and there, and all that control will be yours.
Well, look, we all know this. You get your ultimate, you know that it makes pleasing noises and big flashy lights. You want to press that Q button. You want to see it happen, but you've just got to hold on a little ways. It's a nice entry frag, but quick punch back here by Amazon Fire Force, and the cleanup coming through. Viva Taehyung receives the rock, and the follow-up is good. And what looked like a swing there in favor of Amazon Fire Force instead swings back over to Microsoft 365. They reach the apex of the jump, and they dislodge, mounting in a perfect 10-point finish.
Yeah, definitely. It's the first control go over to Microsoft. They're not necessarily that far ahead in ultimate charge, so that's at least a good thing for Amazon. But Amazon will have to try very hard to clean up this point quickly, because otherwise it's just going to be a 99 before they even flip it.
Still not a lot with them to work with just yet, but no real rush. They're still 80% of the point away from being able to really, being forced to be in that position. Big Z gets the Pulse Bomb online, being very good at chasing them and just generating that charge. Has an eye on the supports, logs in the Pulse Bomb, but they're able to dodge it. Still, a lot of pressure keeps them away from the rest of the team and allows Kainami to find some low HP targets. A good job here by Big Z, effectively splitting up the team and securing the hold for Microsoft.
Microsoft, you're in such a great place right now. You can just take the lead in the series, take the lead to get to match point, to tournament points. But so far, Amazon has still been looking pretty good on control. They're still looking to get back on this, and they have the ultimate to do it with, especially the sound barrier.
Coalescence from Impact to start things off, and Viva Taehyung's able to find one here. Impact with the Coalescence finds a second. The DMEC comes through on Zephos, but I don't think it's going to matter here. Now, if you're Microsoft 365, having lost so many of your players, you're probably just going to want to tag in and burn a little bit more time off the clock. And Jay Goomba stomps Kainami down, but we've still got players on the point. We've still got Big EZ making himself an absolute nuisance here. Smex gets the final bullet into him, but one more time, it's 3/4 of the way to cap for Microsoft.
I think the best thing about that fight is not just winning it, but winning it before they get to 99, cleaning it up quickly, because that's so important on this point. It's so stallable, especially with these mobile compositions. Now we will see a very ultimate heavy fight coming up, and that could go either way. There's no real advantage for either teams other than the high ground positioning initially from Amazon, and even that has not really mattered so far, but the EMP is big.
Wow, Smex actually didn't manage to get that kill. It was Xephos that came through and had to find that run down, but we saw Jantho knocked down to 25 HP. Instead, he's going to be raised back up here and into the fight. Looking really good now for Microsoft 365. They have committed some into the fight. They committed the duplicate, and Smex is going to go down here. SPS Fake is still alive and in the fight. Moves back in to keep his team tagged up. It's going to be one last tag back in here by NJ, who will have the Primal Rage, but the Orb of Discord once more hovering over his character model means that he's just 1,000 HP of pure unmitigated ult charge. Microsoft 365 looking to take the lead, looking to take tournament point here on the back of a 2-1 win on Oasis.
When they initiate, they look so good, but when you initiate with an EMP and the rest of your team is halfway across the map, you're not going to get the follow-up you need. They barely got that one kill on the hunt, though, before they had to translocate out, and then Smex is just like, guys, why is no one else dying? I did an EMP. It's like, yeah, but we weren't there yet. You had to wait for us. We couldn't follow up. And then Microsoft says, you know what? If you're not going to kill anybody with the EMP, that means you just use an ultimate and we're fine. Let's res hunt, though, and go in. Use our own ultimates, get the value. And that's exactly what they did. Beautiful plays have come out from both teams here, but Microsoft, just as a team, is looking like a unit that's hard to beat at the moment. 3-1 lead in this series as we're going to go on to map number 6 after this one. And we're not going to see any more assault maps. So for anyone who's wondering what's going to happen now, since we've had 5 maps, and normally we play a best of 5, so kind of really wondering what's going on here. Of course, we're going until one of the teams has won 4 maps, but since we've run out of the regular format of control, 3 other map types in control again, we're going to now go to I think hybrid first, then escort, and then another control map if necessary, and then it's control after that. So no more assault maps, for anyone who was wondering. And hybrid, no more King's Row. So we're going to see a King's Row-less continuation of the series. Looks like it's going to be Blizzard World next, Phil. And I was really prepared.
I'm trying to think.
We both predicted.
I feel like we have seen King's Row almost every week of this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a week where we didn't see it. So to get to this point in the series is kind of crazy.
Yeah. It really is. I mean, I think we've seen like maybe a Numbani or a Blizzard World pick here and there. Maybe even a Hollywood every now and then, but it's mostly been King's Row. It has been the comfort map for everybody. Of course, you were with the safe choice of your background. You're like, you know what? I'm going to go to King's Row, make sure I'm already there because they're going to visit. Yeah. And I was optimistic. I was like, they're going to go to that second hybrid map. They're going to pick Blizzard World. Look, here we are. We got there. So, you know, we both got it right on that one. Going to be seeing some swaps come out. It looks like Chickenality is going to be back in for Panda Logic. Jello coming back in for Kainami. So DPS and support swaps all around, making sure that we get another interesting change of pace. And that could, once again, shake up the dynamic of the series, could shake up the dynamic of the grand finals. That's still where we are. But with a 3-1 lead, Office 365 is looking very comfortable at the moment, Phil.
They are, and a 3-1 lead kind of makes it look like a dominant series, a series where they weren't really challenged outside of a particularly crazy map type like Control, where you can never guarantee that's a good predictor. But really, there has been a lot of back and forth here, and it seems to be like small mistakes from both teams that cost them points, like overinvestment of ults. Like in the neutral, they're actually incredibly well balanced, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be curious to see whether we can get to map 7 though. Like it's been looking comfortable for Office 365. Control has really been the map that was been the closest between the two, or at least the more favorable for Amazon. They couldn't win Oasis. They won Ilios. And after that, it's just been, I wouldn't say it's been downhill ever from there, but it has been a struggle for them to find value in fights and on the different objectives. Since we've had the swaps come through, and since the teams should be, ready to go back in. I mean, we thought we were going to go back in, but we're not.
Yeah. Looks like we're actually going to take a short break here, guys, while we give people a chance to take a bit of a bio break. Has been a long evening so far, so we're going to indulge them this once. Let's take a quick break and we're back for what could be the final map of the tournament in just a little while. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are at the stabbing end of the bracket. Tournament point. One map separating Microsoft 365 No Scope from victory. Amazon Fire Force looking to start clawing their way back here. Only one map to their name. They need to take another one here to keep the series alive.
And so far, they've been playing this composition before. We've seen this double barrier. We've seen the Ash. We've seen the Baptista and the Brigitte with it. They've been playing it. That Echo is a bit newer. We've seen it maybe once or twice, but it's definitely an adaptation that they're making. And once again, it's not something we never see. This is definitely, they'll consider to be potential meta, but I want to see them executed in the way that we're used to seeing this. You have to make aggressive plays. You have to rotate into the enemy team sometimes, cut them off in their rotations. That's where you really are. If they get on top of you, that's when you've almost already lost, really.
Well, Holt's out early there for NJ, and Senior Cheese does not look concerned in the slightest. Waddles his way forward, going to rejoin his team on the high ground, or possibly making a flank around the back side to try and find an unprotected support. But staging now on the high ground for Microsoft 365, Senior Cheese down on the low ground, looking for squishy targets. See them play very patiently, looking for shields to drop. Wall's going to come up, doesn't do a fantastic job of separating people here, but it does flush out Immortality Field very early here from Impact. That's an opening if ever there was one. Big rock connection. Senior Cheese takes a lot of damage, but 2 picks, 3 picks and counting here from Microsoft 365, and Amazon Fire Force not looking great on the defense. Just over a minute burnt off the clock before we go see streets.
Hey, you talk about debaters. You talk about, litigators, but you definitely also have to talk about the debaters in this situations, Phil. Senior Cheese is just a great debater. Every single time, they go on Senior Cheese and it just backfires, or they go to Senior Cheese runs away, and the rest of the team gets it from the other side. Like, they're not... It doesn't seem like Amazon Fire Force is able to separate their minds from the fact that there is a Roadhog on the field. It's just such a rare occurrence, almost, it seems, for them. Like, it's a legendary thing. We have to catch it. But it's not happening. So find a different target. Find a different method other than there's a Roadhog on the field.
Yeah, everybody on Amazon Fire Force so enamored with the Roadhog. They've all got their Master Balls out and ready to go. But as they turn to throw out from the long grass, spring the rest of Microsoft 365, and they find the kills they need to do the work. We'll see 1 pick come through already either side, but already the fight swings in the direction of Microsoft 365. Smex get a parting blow with a parting smack, but the payload unperturbed, still rolling through, and Smex dies somewhat staggered in the fight.
It's a great progression. They're going fast, they're going hard, and they have plenty of ultimates to do it with. This is a tough one to get through, to fight against if you're Amazon. But they have some tools to work with, especially that duplicate. I want to see how that one works out.
Blizzard out early, Reflux comes through, and the Blizzard does such a good job of containing them. There was no chance of getting the connect. Not even Smex's Bob could get in and touch, and this is above 5 minutes to cap C on Blizzard World.
Yeah, C on Blizzard Worlds. It is a tough one to cap at times. It's definitely not the easiest one in the game. But with 5 minutes and with the dominance they've been portraying so far, you would think they get there. Smacks back over to the Sombra. They've had enough. They want to go back to that pick that's been working for them to a degree. And if they can initiate properly with those EMPs, not at all a bad thought.
Well, there's the hack coming through. Z-Force able to find one as Viper taking picks of the duplicate, putting 3 Sigmas in total on the field for now. And with that much shielding available, Viper taking struggling to get ultimate online, will eventually get it, but the duplicate runs out before too much damage can be done. But this is the first meaningful hold that we've had from Amazon.
And that's usually where it starts. That first hold that stops the momentum from the attacking team, that has them reset. But because they still have so many ultimates left, it's not really a reset. It's just a minor inconvenience, especially when NJ just gets hooked and taken out again.
Man, there was a lot of damage amplification on the field, but Senior Cheese is unperturbed. The dictionary definition of unperturbed. Whole hogs into them, finds 2 picks, trades his life, gets raised, back in the fight. BiggEZ finds 2-1 with the bob and the payload round to that final corner. Look at them press up, look at them take this space. Look at BiggEZ take the off angle here. So hard for Amazon to push out.
If you thought that it was going to be over with that push, it's definitely not. It's going to be continuing. Another good flux. EMP at the counter, though.
EMP doesn't catch Hypno Beam, but Z-Force has done the damage now. Hanto already down before they can get that Transcendence online. Impact's able to find Senior Cheese, and we will see them manage another hold here, but there is not much distance left to get that payload. One good push here with ults from Microsoft. We'll see them do it.
These 3-minute time bank. I mean, they had 5. It's been down to 2, but at least they progressed the payload a little bit. It's true to that like last fight territory here. And with the ultimates they have in the bank, that Blizzard that's been super valuable for them, the Transcendence to counter any shenanigans that come their way, and even the speed boost now to just go in as a hammer, I think they should be fine. This could very well be the last fight they ever have to attack on.
Yeah. PandaLogic, the closest one to having an ult available if you have Amazon Fire Force, will need to get that online ASAP if they want to keep this going. And BiggEZ is already down. That's actually great value here. PandaLogic can go into cleanup mode here, except that we might see them frozen out here as the Blizzard comes through from Flammable Jello. Finds Taehyung, and NJ is focused down by Senior Cheese. And now it's a heavy numbers advantage, but Senior Cheese gets hacked and gets taken out of the mech, but it doesn't seem to matter. We're down to less than a meter, and 2 minutes and 8 seconds remain in the clock for Microsoft 365 no-scope.
And 2 minutes 8 seconds on a map like Blizzard World is a very respectable time, more than respectable, some might say. They really only lost 2 fights, roughly, so it makes sense that they still have that much time left, only 6 minutes to clear that entire map. And now Amazon Fire Force, they're in that position. They're in that place. Their backs against the wall, and they need to come out swinging. They need to make that move that makes Office 365 finally back off. They need to make sure that Senior Cheese doesn't get to do whatever they want without just only focusing on that Roadhog. They need to find a way to break open this defense and just barrel through the map, because otherwise this series, this tournament, this Overwatch season of the CEA is going to be over.
This really is do or die time for Amazon Fire Force. They can't afford missteps. They can't afford mistimed or wasted ultimates. Microsoft 365 are going to punish anything they do that is incorrect. They've got to play this perfect, and they've got to come in with just as good a time bank, if not a better time bank, than Microsoft if they really want to make another run into this final match.
I will say the one advantage they have, there's no Roadhog for them to ogle at. Senior Cheese is on the Diva. You can rest assured that they don't have to go for it. But even then, don't focus on the Diva, because that extra 100 armor that she's gotten instead of health is really doing a number on the potential damage that especially Smex, but even V4 Taehyung can put out. Because all that tick damage on armor, it's so much less.
Well, hopefully with a little less skin on display on the Diva, they'll less turbo focus onto that, but they will also have to worry about BiggEZ, who gets a cheeky 1/4 of that ultimate already online. Back to sheepdog mode here, just constantly nipping at the heels of Amazon Fire Force as they look to get through. V4 Taehyung with a bit of the screen jitters there, just to put our observer into nausea mode ready for this. They've got a good position now, but they need to actually get in. There's the dive, but the wall momentarily splits off. Z-Force, Smex falls to BiggEZ, and this has to be surely the end of the offense here. They've got good position on the payload, on the point even, but they've not been able to generate that first tick as NJ goes down. BiggEZ lands the stick onto everyone's favorite edgelord, and that's the defense. No ticks gained here for Amazon.
No ticks gained whatsoever, but at least it looked like a promising fight. It definitely looked like they weren't as distracted as they were before, especially by the likes of Senior Cheese. And they did charge up quite a bit towards their ultimates, especially PandaLogic and Impact being already on or close to their ultimates is a huge tool, especially if they can get Hunto out early. No Transcendence can make all the difference here.
BZ is the most annoying player to play against here because you can't go anywhere without them chasing you. And they already burn out the phase here from the Moira. Viva Taehyung's able to find one, but the Blizzard comes out from Flammable Jello. Viva Taehyung still starting to do work, and the Coalescence is there from Panda Logic. Now burns the phase. Viva Taehyung frozen up, but Senior Cheese is hacked, and D-Meg looking for that kill onto Viva Taehyung, gonna find it, and it's pistols at dawn for the Pilot Divas. With a little bit of help there from Hantho, they take them out, but they are not out of the woods just yet. Senior Cheese incredibly diveable here. No guarantee gonna get the mech back, and Hantho's gonna fall here. One tick now gained for Amazon Fire Force, but the respawn starting to come in from Microsoft 365. But it looks like they might not go in for this in a serious way. No, they are! EMP comes in, and it interrupts the gravitic flux, so no kills just yet. Impact's having to throw in the sound barrier as well. Self-destruct comes in over the top, and it finds Impact. They are still against all odds in this fight and committing ultimates to the fray. Transcendence comes out early, which means that Viva Taehyung can pull the ripcord on the Blossom and round out the fights.
Yeah, and especially because there were so many ultimates invested from the defense, you know you can spend that extra Death Blossom, that's fine. You know you're going to have it back by the time you really need it again. You can still have the 2 tank ultimates and the Coalescence coming back up. This is a good situation to be in for Amazon Fire Force. If they can carry on this momentum, they might be able to get straight all the way to point B without a lot of contests, without a lot of trouble. And that's exactly what you want to see. But there will be a high ground position taken here for Microsoft 365. And that is, of course, the default. That's where you want to be. You want to be on that high ground to defend. You want to be there, spamming down on the enemy. Let's see if the dive comes in or whether they're going to try and make them come to them. No, it is the dive.
Ooh. It's the dive with the self-destruct, but a lot of shielding in the way that I believe only broke Hantho's Brigitte shield in that ult exchange. Viva Taehyung's able to find one, and MJ is looking for a second. Now, out of the Primal Rage and back to defending the team. Shield Bash comes in and interrupts Viva Taehyung, but Panda Logic keeps them alive with the Coalescence and chases Hantho out of the point. This is a bit of a rout here. Microsoft 365 had a good early staging on the high ground, but it's not worked out for them just yet. They have a chance to come back in and recontest, but it's going to be down to Flammable Yellow to find something good here with the Blizzard, and Zephos, great presence of mind, swings the D-Matrix over and takes that ultimate off the table. Microsoft 365 now looking to just burn time off the clock, but NJ is focused, but Smex has his hacking gloves on, gets a big fiver, and I was able to find SBS Baker. Smex with the power of that sound barrier over them gets a bit more work done. Senior Cheese buys a moment's reprieve with the self-destruct. Impact down. The mech gone for Zephos. Smex down. Viva Taehyung down. And against all odds, with less than 3 minutes on the payload, progress left to go, Microsoft mount the hold.
Yeah, Microsoft, they're doing it again. They're just doing the same thing they've been doing all series. They're breaking down the fight in very clear chunks and are able to focus down these targets point by point, exactly how you should be doing it with a composition like theirs. And they use all the tools available to them as well. Now they've got a sound barrier that's going to have to sustain. This payload is awfully close.
It's very, very close. Even a slight back cap here could get this into position for them. C-Force is going to be going for a Hail Mary with the self-destruct, but it's too high up to find value. Viva Taehyung will find one here, taking Flammable Yellow offline, and that's the kills they needed. Once more, powered by Panda Logic with the Coalescence, the wind beneath their wings guiding them forward. But for Microsoft 365, they've done what they needed to do here. They've gotten down to the final minute on the push, and look at the time bank. There is no chance now of Microsoft 365 equaling this time bank. Sorry, of Amazon
really isn't
this time bank.
They're even going to struggle to actually complete the map with any time left in the first place. Like, they need to have time on the bank if they want to have the possibility of winning this map. Otherwise, might get to another King's Row situation where they need to defend this and hope for the draw to push it to a map 7. But for now, that's not the way you want to focus on. For now, you want to focus on winning this next fight. And Smex being in position for a good AMP is going to be a good boon for that.
Ooh, couldn't quite get that last little tick of the ultimate online, but we'll just get that passively. Throws down the translocator, sees them all grouped up. There's 5, and they are gonna topple like the world's most precarious tower of Jenga blocks. And Jake takes a bit of damage, and Little Yellow is able to keep himself on the point here, but D-Mech comes through onto Senior Cheese. Jello taken out as well. There's going to be at least one more hold here, and it's a hold with the self-destruct and a blizzard to play with.
That was an even better EMP than I thought they were maybe going to do, because you do it in a way where you completely stop the initiation. They are already in your face. You don't have to initiate on them. You can just start firing as soon as the EMP comes out. And that's the exact situation where you want to do maximum value. And then a sound barrier as well. Good initiation.
Yeah, Blizzard on the table and lots of sustain available with the Coalescence and the Primal Rage there for NJ as well. Senior Cheese will still have the self-destruct. Expect that to be used more or less just to get that mech back. It's a beautiful wall from Jello that stops Z-Force finding anybody with their own self-destruct, but it wasn't enough for Jello themselves. Falls to Panda Logic here. Because he's able to find NJ, and now the main tank is down and out. We see the contents of the table start to slide precariously towards the floor. Panda Logic finds the parting blow onto Biggie Z, and we are at the 30-second mark. This is going to be an overtime cap if it's a cap at all. They do have the tools here, but they are so close to losing this.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to win this map. At best, they're going to get a draw out of this, because 15 seconds is not enough to push that payload there. Not with the amount of defense there is. EMP is going to be big, but it only gets the tanks.
Oh no, the big shield bash into FIFA Taehyung! Couldn't get that Death Blossom off. That was such a play from Hantho. Panda Logic's already down. FIFA Taehyung distracted, now having to deal with the Giga Rhine at his back. As if Blizzard said yes, what if Reinhardt, but more, to stop you in your tracks, to stop you capping here, and to give you the final map you need, the final Infinity Stone in the gauntlet to arrive as the CEA Fall and Winter Split Grand Final winners.
And they're gonna get that play of the game from Hypno Beam. It's a consolation prize, you would normally say, but it's not, because you won. You did it. You won the series, the tournament, the entire thing, the entire shebang is yours. Hypno Beam, looking with this beautiful one, was a standout player for sure. But I think the one we're all going to be talking about is Senior Cheese, because, I mean, how else could you not? Amazon Fire Force is all they could focus on, so why wouldn't it be all that we could focus on? We're just following their trend. It's not our choice, it's theirs. You know, it's their choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations to Microsoft 365 No Scope. That $3,700 to the charity of your choosing. And I still think congratulations to Amazon Fire Force as well, because that was an incredibly well thought series, and they are still coming out of this with money to throw at charities. Now, guys, if you've been following these broadcasts, you know that this is not quite the end of it just yet. We've got one more series interview to bring you. After a short break, we're going to bring these guys in. We're going to have a chat and see how they're feeling and how they think that went down to them. So hold your horses for a couple more minutes and we'll be right back with you. Well, welcome back, everybody, and well, we've got a bit of a special treat for the final interview portion of the series, which is as many people from both teams as we could get into the interview portion. So bear with us while we try and corral these excitable players. And welcome to generally the players from Microsoft 365 No Scope and Amazon Fire Force. Whoever wants to take this can go for it. I'm not going to pick a person. Microsoft 365, how are you feeling on the back of that win?
Oh, feeling fantastic. We had such a rush, especially after our third match, our actual first win. What was the map? Route 66, right?
Mm-hmm.
That win, we were feeling.
You had Volskaya first. Volskaya first.
Volskaya was a draw.
No, Volskaya,
King's Row was a draw. Volskaya was a win, and then
Route 66
after.
Guys, it's been a long day for me.
As you see, I forgot as well. So Volskaya, we felt super, super good after that win because through King's Row and Ilios, we sort of scouted out. We already scouted out that they're going to do Ilios, and we're going to have a very low chance of actually winning it, given how the map structure. And King's Row was very close, but we were feeling really, really good. And Volskaya just kind of pushed our momentum for that.
Yeah, really felt like you sort of ramped up. You like maybe took two and a half maps to really get up to fighting spec, but you got there in the end, and it was your game from then on out. Amazon Fire Force, obviously a harder question to ask because you coming into the second place here today. But how were you feeling after that match series?
We thought it was a really good match series just overall. We were obviously feeling really good after the initial Ilios, but we also were like, okay, we're gonna definitely win Ilios. I mean, that's just control. We usually do well on that. But then, afterwards, our King's Row, we kind of screwed up a bit. Just we expected the teleport, We didn't expect the Junkrat to come out and just like blow us up immediately, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. But we were still able to hold it to draw, and we still felt pretty good. But then after that, it was just, I think, as overall as a team, we were a little bit rocked, a little bit more of our shot calling started getting all over the place. Our just like focus targeting and everything, things of stuff that we were working on really strongly like throughout the season, that we've seen that when we have it down and we just like run over people, it just wasn't there. And I think it was pretty clear to see that we were just all over the place and not really focusing the right target down. So ultimately, I feel like that's kind of what led to the loss today. But it is what it is, and we just gotta work on like dealing with the pressure and like, dealing with that, and we should be able to come back next season.
You live and you learn. That's how they do that. Of course, there were a lot of fun and beautiful moments throughout this entire series. I'm trying to think of at least one, but now I'm blanking on them. I know there were a ton of them. Yeah, I mean, if anyone has any moment of the series that they want to recall, you can shoot now, because I just want to
jump
know.
in? Can I jump in?
Oh yeah, of course, Phil. You can also do that.
I want to talk. Senior Cheese, hi, congrats by the way. I want to talk about your series of hooks on Volskaya on your first offense, because boy, it seemed like you really had it in for the opposing Orisa. I forget who was playing Orisa at that point, because it was hook through the shield onto the low ground, didn't quite get the kill. Next hook onto the Orisa, next hook onto the Orisa. Was that your intended target, or was it just opportunistic?
Very opportunistic. Against double shields, I kind of throw my hook in there within the double take and hope whoever I put yoink, I get a kill. But for Volskaya, it was very heavily on displacement, so it can make space for our DPS to pop off. And when it was coming, I just Orisa was not looking my way, so I kind of hooked her. Just kind of keep going at it.
Okay, now that I've got that out of the way, if anybody else would like to volunteer a moment from the series that they particularly enjoyed, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, I just want to add, like, I just want to add, like, all the puns for cheese every time. It was really entertaining. Thank you, casters.
Did we make puns for that? I don't know. I think we did sometimes.
A lot.
But, yeah. That's Nolly, by the way, from Microsoft. Did you?
I didn't get to play.
That's good. I didn't get to play today. No, I was gonna say, like, we were waiting for it.
I was like the cheerleader in Twitch chat, just being like, "Woo, Microsoft!"
Yeah, and if you want to give the opponent team a fighting chance, you don't bring out the big guns. Like, you want to make it look, halfway fair. Don't bring Nelly out unless you really want to smash him.
Oh my god, Amazon had a lot of cheerleaders in the chat, so I had to do my part. I think I did well.
Hold down the fort, as they say. Well, good job on that. Does anyone else have any particular moments? I heard someone else muttering while Nolly was to.
I got one on Volskaya as well. It is where Hypno popped off like crazy. So you saw in the play of the game how he got multiple kills, but once that fight was ended, it was only him versus, I think, Diva and the Tracer. And we just we thought it was a lost fight, and Hypno just said, "I got this," and then did this thing. And that was the play that like helped us keep point one. So that was super huge.
Yeah, I accidentally animated and embarrassed myself. Afterwards, I was just like, "What just came out of my mouth? Why did I say that?"
you guys aren't recording comms, are you?
Unfortunately, no.
That's a shame.
Probably good, because there'd be a lot of blackmail involved if we did.
Oh man, there was a lot of questionable things on my side, especially when like the fight's over. I kind of definitely, when they're trying to stall, I always tell them to get off my point every time.
Get off my point. Yeah, I get it.
I'm like that as well, but it is the full Shrek get out of my swamp rather than just get off my point.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Now, of course, Microsoft, you won the series, you won quite a few maps. You thought you were going to lose Ilios in the first place. Are you in general a little bit less about that control map in the first place? I mean, I saw Hanto at some point in chat being like, "Can we just skip control? Can just not do the second one?" I will say I personally share that sentiment, but I kind of want to see how the rest of you guys feel about that.
I can take that one, or
I mean, it was a Microsoft question, so yeah, you could, but anyone else is free.
Go ahead, Biggies.
Yeah, so hi. So I guess for control, it's an interesting thing, right? Because the comp they play is fairly strong on control maps in particular against what we were running in the past couple of season matches. We did struggle quite a bit, especially running against into that comp, both on Ilios and I believe one other map. So we were always a little bit wary of it, and we kind of expected it to come. So we used that first map indirectly, I guess, not not in our minds right away, but as kind of a test to see what we can do. And I feel like even though we lost, we came off that map like, okay, we know what we can do here. We know how to handle this comp a little bit better. We know where the weak points might be, and let's try and poke at them more in the next map. And it just got better as it went on. It felt like from everyone.
Okay,
Sure.
so we're
Makes
starting
sense.
to we're at the end of the tournament now. There's nothing more to be doing next week, so we're looking forward to February for when we're looking to see the start of the next tournament. Are we going to be seeing you guys back again? I mean, no commitment here, but I'd like to know, like, you had a good enough time that you might be coming back.
Highly likely. For me, highly likely.
Okay, so good. You're one person.
Partial yes.
No, definitely. Lots of very pumped people on the Microsoft side. Happy to come back. Are we going to see you in February? That's the question.
I mean, we haven't formally done anything with that yet. That's
that's
always a question
contract.
mark. It's always a question mark. Those are things that maybe we even cannot commit to as persons. You know, we don't know. February.
Yeah,
I live literally. I live on like a half week basis at this stage with things I'm doing. So commitment for me for February is very far ahead.
What I will say is, Brad, if you're watching, I'd be happy to come back, but no pressure.
That's how we do that. And I mean, of course, you know, Amazon didn't get quite the win out of this one, but I'm pretty sure you guys still had fun, still won some money for charity, which is always a very notable thing to do. You know, can put that on your good deeds for the year list. I played video games and I got to give money to charity. I mean, it's more than some other people can say. So probably happy about that one. And I mean, so within the whole Amazon community. We were talking about a bit this before the stream. Amazon also got into the habit of making games. You know, Microsoft, of course, the big streaming Xbox Game Pass platform. But there's been something going on there behind the scenes. I don't know if any of you guys are involved with that.
If you mean like working on AGS for Crucible or like New World and stuff, like I don't think we have any developers. I don't think we have any developers on our team in particular. We're actually it's actually kind of interesting point that I love about CEA is I'm personally my role as a solutions architect, which is kind of just completely different from like SDE or like any of the other IT folk. So I would have never gotten to meet like any of the people on his team if it wasn't for CEA. But coincidentally, now that you bring up, Crucible and whatnot, is the only reason I did find out about this is because Senior Cheese here actually used to be on the Amazon squad or Amazon team over here, and when we actually joined a internal tournament for Crucible, and after we won that whole thing, he just pulled me onto the Overwatch team, and I've been playing since last season, but then he abandoned ship and left me here just all alone, and now I just get any chance I get to speak to Arthur again. It's always great. But otherwise, it's been great. I'm really, really thankful for CA to be able to bring as many people as possible together here.
Well, really glad to hear that. But I think that probably brings us very close to the end of our, well, not just interview section, but broadcast generally, and of course, the tournament in total. And what I normally do here is I give each player, because we normally just have one person per team, a chance to shout out somebody that they want to shout out. I'm just going to give the opportunity to a team, and whoever talks can talk, even if that's all of you at once. So, Microsoft, before we close out, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to round out the broadcast?
Oh, I want to give a shout out to Hypno for personally. I think this man was put on a role that he wasn't comfortable with, and he spent a lot of hours and a lot of time dedicated to just getting better and better to that role. And he initially had faced a lot of challenges, and it was really frustrating. And he felt like he wasn't able to really contribute in the ways when we needed him to, but he worked through it, and I'd say that today he was the MVP.
I'm crying.
Oh.
Well, no, I was supposed to be on mute when loud. Oh no. Thank you, big. And I'll step in and be cheesy this time. This team, like I think Amazon said it best, where like the organization does an incredible job in various ways, but one of the best things is that you get to play with people that you normally would not do so. And I feel absolutely fortunate to have like such a good team, not just in terms of players, but in terms of just personalities and senses of humor and goodwill. Biggie, I think, was just an absolute help to me, especially recently. And I really, I'm very happy to have him as a teammate. I could go down the line and thank every single one, and I probably might if I go off the rails. But I just want to say my team is absolutely an incredible group of people. Many shout outs to our coach Peter, who is basically, by the way, he was coaching us while on the highway on a road trip. So.
Wow.
So we're hearing like cell phone signal, like wind in his hair, probably like cool shades on, driving down to the southwest. I don't know what he's doing, but excellent coaching from him, and thanks of course to Nolly for doing a lot of the organizational and backbone structure of this team. So
Thank
really want
you.
to thank this team.
Oh, what a wonderful infusion of the spirit of the season. Wonderful to hear. And Amazon, same opportunity to you guys. Anybody that you'd like to give a special thanks to or a shout out to, and then we'll start to close out the broadcast.
Yeah. So I think just overall, I think we all like to just thank everybody that's been was watching and supporting us on the Amazon side. It felt like there's a lot of different organizations, a lot of different like groups that are just coming out just to like give some support and shout us out and everything. So that felt awesome. It was always great to just see everyone like just spamming in chat, especially seems that there's a lot of Chicken fans, and makes sense. Chicken's an awesome person, but that and overall, just thank the entire team. Obviously we didn't get the results we wanted, but I think this always just motivates us to go like further for next season. Every single time. But one in particular that I really want to give a shout out that I think really deserves a lot of recognition and a lot of like just praise is NJ on our team actually. NJ, also known as Nick, is like absolutely the heart and soul of our team. He is greatest team captain we could ask for. Always like pushing us. Always like actually, making us laugh and how aggressive he gets in the comms, and just like I'm sure like Biggie's and Arthur could probably tell he's a very 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 high energy person when it comes to it. But he's always pushing us and organizing, scrims, VODs, everything. Nick really is the heart and soul of this team, and I just want to give a special shout out to him for there.
Beautiful to hear. Well, guys, thank you all in your totality. How many we've got? What, 10 people in here? Thank you very much for joining us. It's been wonderful to watch you play. It's been wonderful to hear a little bit from you at the back end of the tournament. But this does sadly bring us to the close. Of course, we are looking forward to February, just a few short months away. If you're watching and you want to take part and you think you can get a few more people from your company involved, go to cea.gg and look for the sign up links there. And all that remains is one last time, ManofClass, any words to close the broadcast on?
I mean, come join us next season. I mean, maybe not me and Phil, but just anybody, just CEA. And it's not just Overwatch, If you like other games, they play them too. They might even add more to them. There's plenty in there. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. Again, to reiterate, it's gonna be on Mondays next season, not on Saturdays anymore. We've been doing it this time around, so it'll be in the evening rather than the early morning, afternoon. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, go and sign up. Find your team within your company. Find your players. Find anything you want to do, and sign up to CEA. That's really all I want to give you.
Well, thank you again for sticking with me throughout the tournament. ManofClass, been great working with you and everybody else here at CEA, of course. And we hope to be seeing some more of you in February. Until then, good night, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you when we see you.